Hi, Jube Jube.
Hello.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another all-new X's for Show, your premier media response show where you can check us out on all the social at X's for Show. As for me, I'm Nico, and you can check me out in all of my action at Nico Action. That's NICOACTION. And I guess my spooky affectation for this Halloween season is freaky hands.
I accept it.
I don't know what mine's gonna be. Rattling Bones. I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental. Crickety crack.
I went to this, so I guess I'm doing a ponderous chin scratch as my Halloween affectation. Very Lon Chaney, I guess. And you can find me over on the socials at Kevo Really. That's KEVOREALLY.
Wait, is
Was
that the
Lon
queen
Chaney-
that won season 2 of Drag Race UK? Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
First, I was like, I don't think her name was Kevo.
No.
That's me. I am Kevo, proprietor of this fancy new video background that we have that I'm super excited about.
I'm
Thanks,
so into it.
StreamYard.
This has been Kevo's dream since we moved to StreamYard, and I'm so excited he's getting to live it.
Oh,
And
that's
Nico's having a little fun with his setup. Meanwhile, what are we here to do today, gentlemen? I believe we have a game afoot.
There's always a game afoot over here.
It's time to racket up that bracket, and we are going to take a look at a topic that has long fascinated me. See, everybody's always like alternate history. What if the Americans had never, achieved independence from the Britain people?
The Britain.
People.
I'm so ashamed. What would we have done? Well, I think we wouldn't have had Hamilton, right? But we're here to talk about, I think, the real pressing AU question. What if other people had been cast in Marvel Cinematic Universe roles? I'm so excited. I'm tripping on my words because this is something Kevin and I have talked about doing since the HTML days. It's something that
Yes.
TK and I have talked about every time we've ever been on the phone. So this is a really exciting broadcast. We're going to be bringing you a bunch of people you might not have known were originally slated for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We even have some that we had too many for the game, so we just got some extra facts to throw your way throughout the episode, and it's going to be a really good time. Is there anybody that you guys would have loved to have seen cast differently in the MCU? Just like a quick take. I think my only real that I have no real passion toward in either direction, and I even kind of feel bad about it. But Josh Brolin's Thanos just doesn't that's not the role of all time for me.
Yeah. I
he's
would
great,
be interested.
but
I'd be interested to see someone else as Thanos. I wonder if somebody could probably do a stronger take on it. It's not that he's bad, but it's a bit generic, giant purple monster man. I see where you're coming from.
James Gandolfini.
yeah, it's James Gandolfini as Grimace coming toward me wearing a giant.
I'm saying I want James Gandolfini.
You want
Oh.
James
to play.
Gandolfini.
Yeah, I would take the 9 seasons of The Sopranos, feed it into an AI, and then just let that do it because that's a good idea.
James Gandolfini went to high school with my mom.
There you go. All the more reason he should be playing Thanos, as
Okay.
we know.
That was
And
definitely
now they're both dead.
that was not
Taking it
the
right to the dark
thread
place.
that
I
Proud
just
of
think
you.
it's weird.
Yeah,
Two
true.
nickels.
Wait, but hold on. James Gandolfini's son has been cast in a yet unannounced role in
That's
Daredevil
right.
Born Again. So you are sort of getting a little bit of that same Gandolfini magic.
Wouldn't it be insane if he
Ooh.
was playing Thane?
Butch?
No,
Thane is fine. But
But then by that token, Vincent D'Onofrio as Thanos would have been a really interesting take
yeah,
too.
he would have been a great Thanos. Yeah.
you embarrassed me in front of Death Nessa.
I think villains are probably the ones that I would say most strongly
bad
I would
joke.
want to see different casts on. No, you were fine.
My biggest one is Cap. I have said always, I love Chris Evans so much. I love a Boston boy. I think there are so many things that Chris Evans can do. And I don't think he did the role poorly. I don't think he was like, oh God, what a schlub. I just think there is nobody I can think of who is more wrong for that role, besides maybe James Gandolfini. But if you asked me to choose, I would pick James Gandolfini.
You think this A on my forehead stands for France?
I think he is so completely wrong for the role. I just, and especially at the time when he had just been Johnny Storm, I just couldn't think of anybody who I thought less embodied Cap. And yes, I really do think he acquitted himself very well for how wrong I think he is. But if I could just change that one piece, if I could turn back time, if I could find a way, that is probably the thing I would do.
You'd replace Captain
I'll be interested to know which of the front runners you would replace him with.
We're gonna get into that in a second.
Right. Well, then
we will.
Full on Violet Chachki, come through. Let's get into the game.
Rosanova, hold on. All right, let's get me. I always forget I have to actually do something in these.
So I had, come up with this idea, pitched it to Kevo, and we had so many that we have some cool bonus facts for some of these. We've arranged our bracketeering game. It's a standard style bracket where we go group by group until we get an ultimate winner. Now, we will be comparing multiple people up for the same role. So we're going to be talking about two different people who might have been up for the role of, say, Thanos. And ultimately, our winners won't be one-on-one, but we do have a number of interesting doubles. We have a number of Black Widow contenders, a number of Captain Americas in there. And Kevo, I just really want to applaud you on doing this amazing list. And TK, and putting this awesome bracket together. I was useless. I was camping.
It's okay. We forgive you.
We do, and we love.
I've got the bracket up. But actually, this time around, this isn't as super important because Kevo did far better slides, which will kind of illustrate the real point. This will just be here for a visual representation of how far we've come along.
So Kevin and I had on our matching TVA jackets because, this whole thing is about,
This is in honor of Loki.
Loki we'll be talking about tomorrow on our regular Sunday TV broadcast. So check that out.
We've all watched though at this point, right?
Oh
yeah. We might let something slip, but honestly, I don't think a ton happened.
Did we all love?
Love.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're enthused. We're very enthused.
And, I want to just say that I think something that they got right is, for the most part, when anybody tries to create faux nostalgia with look at this old-timey McDonald's, I'm mostly like, roll my eyes, can't do it. But old-timey McDonald's, wow. I could remember pulling up to the McDonald's in Old Bridge on Route 9 North, where on Mondays, hamburgers were 25 cents, and on Wednesdays, cheeseburgers were 35 cents, and 1,000,000,000%, that is what the Loki premiere gave me. I felt like I was back in a McDonald's ready to get in a play place. It was baller.
I really appreciate that. We'll get into it more. I sort of wish that they would broaden the anachronism. It's very much of a mid-century era.
Hey, contributor Jonah.
Is Jonah.
Love you, pal.
I wish we would see as much early 90s, late 80s technology, throwing a VHS in the mix. A lot of it is very late 40s to early 60s, which is a fantastic era to ape. But, it seems like the idea is partially it could be any time because it's the Time Variance Authority. And
but I mean the McDonald's. I meant the McDonald's.
Oh, the actual McDonald's from the end.
I mean the actual McDonald's from the end for me was walking into a McDonald's.
That was a legit moment. Yes, you're totally right. Okay, let's play this game because I've embarrassed myself now.
No, but I think so many shows do it so badly. I think so many shows recreate the McDonald's experience in a way that's kind of macking me. But, I have a lot of problems with Sylvie's portrayal because I feel like not enough attention has been given to the ways in which she is a strong, powerful, thoughtful character. She's too honestly for me, she's too quickly to be shown as responding to a situation instead of having her own positive agency. So seeing her have such a cool moment in last episode already really gave me hope that her character is going to have a beautiful arc.
Just make sure you're saving some of those feels for tomorrow.
Oh, I have 100,000 more. It's Loki. Yeah. I never run out of feelings for Loki.
So part of why I made the slides is I felt it was important to have the character and the actual actor up.
Wait,
for us to be able
to. Is that Johnny Depp?
Get out of here.
You're a putz. We love you.
All
All
Yes, that is super important. And I think the visual is really important too, because I think the visual of the character is almost more important than the act well in that suit with that gaping chest wound.
Yeah, you know
So
what? You're asking me to
my
believe that one of them did it in a cave with a box of scraps.
Clive. So my understanding is I believe Clive was being looked at by the studio and Sam was being looked at by John before seeing Robert Downey Jr.'s screen test and being like, "This is my vision," and changing the course of cinematic history, basically.
Oh, wow. So Clive Owen on the left, Sam Rockwell on the right. Sam Rockwell would ultimately go on to play my least favorite Iron Man villain, Justin Hammer. Don't love him anymore in the movies, but it's a shorter list to dislike a bunch of people on. But it's really something to think about. Clive Owen, Closer's Clive Owen.
Ooh, with Natalie Portman.
With Nat Port, yeah. Honestly, one of my favorite movies ever. Really, a terrific film.
Really?
We've had this fight
Oh,
multiple
God,
times in the
haven't
car.
we? Shit. Okay.
Every time I say Closer is literally one of the greatest films I've ever seen in my life, you go, really? Every single time, exactly that face. I love Clive Owen in this. I love Clive Owen in this role because Clive Owen embodies largeness in every role he portrays. And something I like about Sam Rockwell is that Sam Rockwell is a larger than life personality. But I feel in many ways like I got a sense of Sam Rockwell from Justin Hammer, and I don't know that I want it here. I love him in a bunch of other stuff, but I gotta give this one to Clive Owen. You guys, what a commanding dude!
I feel entirely the opposite way about Clive Owen. I truly do not enjoy him most of the time. Love Children of Men. Love when he is under assault at all times and hopefully going to die.
Man, he would have been a hot Grandpa James Bond. He can do it when he's like 70.
Yep, absolutely. There are roles that I think I can really see him in for the MCU, and I'm blanking on all of them, and I feel terrible because I want to prop him up as somebody who would be great as something.
That's a woman who knows.
Closer's a better stage show, says Tori. Yeah, I fully believe that. I think everybody involved is miscast, and I don't think it works as a film. So, thank you, Tori, for agreeing with me and not Nico. I don't like Clive Owen, and I don't like Tony Stark. So, for some reason, Sam Rockwell's particular version of smarmy, like the biggest problem I always have with RDJ's Tony Stark is that Tony sucks to me and Robert Downey Jr. does not. Robert Downey Jr. can't do any wrong. So when there's times where he's like, war crimes, what do I care? I'm like, I don't believe you, Robert Downey Jr.
I've seen the 4th season of Ally McBeal. I know what's up.
Exactly. I saw you in Less Than Zero.
Which is a better movie than book.
Yes.
I remember Suitcase Boy.
Bret Easton Ellis is a garbage person.
Anyone?
Suitcase Boy.
SNL deep cut.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Sam Rockwell to me has the sort of sliminess that I think sometimes they try and give Tony Stark in the films that I never buy.
Fair.
And I like him better as a villain. I wish Justin Hammer had been written as a better villain, and if he's coming back for Armor Wars, maybe we'll get that. But my vote is for Sam Rockwell.
Nico at first had kind of started to talk me into Clive Owen because I really do. I mean, it's going to Sam Rockwell, though. I'm sorry. You started to talk me into the idea of Clive Owen, and I really think he would be an interesting one to see. And I really do think he would give such a fascinating portrayal that I think would have leaned so much of this franchise more into the realness of comics than the bombast of comics. But I also really agree with so much of what TK is saying about Sam Rockwell being a different shade of the same type of Iron Man. And we forgive so much of Iron Man's bombast because of how delightfully charming we find Robert Downey Jr. And that's even the point of casting Sam Rockwell in the role of Hammer, is that he's supposed to be like Robert Downey Jr., but we don't like him the same way. And so I think seeing someone who is a far less likable Iron Man would have been really interesting. And I wonder more how that would have affected the franchise than Clive Owen, because if it was Clive Owen, we wouldn't have gotten to the Avengers. No offense, it probably would have been an amazing movie, but I don't think it would have been received the same way.
It's also one of the really funny things about a lot of these potential castings is that these people would not have gone to Endgame. They would have been too old by that point. Clive Owen, I think, would have looked too old by Endgame.
Yeah, that too.
You know, Robert Downey Jr. is a particular type of man who really kept it tight beyond what I think was reasonable to expect of him, and I love him for that. But I do think, to what I was saying before, like, one of the big problems is the first movie starts out really wanting you to be like, oh, this gross guy. And all of us in that theater for that first movie were like, finally Robert Downey Jr. getting the chance we have been hoping for him since his life kind of went off the rails. This is a perfect role because it kind of mirrors his own struggle, and we know that. We know he's going to come out the hero. We want him to be the hero from minute one. And it takes a really long time for you as the viewer to start being like, oh yeah, Tony Stark can be a dick sometimes. And it really only picks up in like Infinity War. So for like the first ginormous chunk of Iron Man time, you just kind of like him.
Yeah.
All right, so we got to put this one.
We're giving it to Rockwell.
Yeah, Sam Rockwell beat Clive Owen for who would have been the better, not quite Iron Man.
Nico, say hi to your boy from Robbie.
Oh, hey, Robbie.
Hi, Robbie.
There you go.
I also want to spotlight Tori's incredible comment of, I can't see Clive hanging in the darkness. I can't see Sam Rockwell being more charming than broken. This is just such a great perspective. Always love to hear alternate takes. But alas, now we find ourselves looking at two guys who are known for repeating other people's jokes and looking at the camera. And so Dane Cook and John Krasinski were both up for the role of Captain America. And, if stealing somebody else's jokes for the fame isn't the American dream, I just don't know.
Does this even seem possible?
So
yeah.
I prepped Iron Man with this because it works so much better for this Cap. Of course, when they are casting it, Dane Cook is like, he's about to make a mistake that's going to ruin his career. And I think one of them might have been talking about being in talks to audition for Captain America. But like, he is at the height of his fame. He's looking really good, but he is too old. And it would have worked for one movie, but he would have been a significant... What?
Hold on. The thing I want to say about that is every one of these guys would have gotten that triple letter cocktail. Everybody would have been HGH'd to pieces. And so nobody would have looked too old.
No. Men do not respond always.
I know. Every now and then you get a Frank Grillo. I know.
So hold on. I want to look this up for my own edification.
Corey says this is Jensen Ackles' erasure, which I appreciate. Meanwhile, Jonah says that he wants it to be Dane Cook, only to keep the running gag that Emily Blunt is more famous than John.
Dane Cook is 10 years older than Chris Evans, who is
Were you about
like
to say Christopher Plummer?
I was about to say Christopher something. Chris Evans
will do.
Chris Evans is like technically, I think, older than they might have liked if they had known that the MCU was going to be this thing that's going to easily span 40 years. I think if they could, they would have cast an 18-year-olds. So like Chris Evans even is a little older than you might want for longevity's sake. So Dane Cook is now 51. almost 20 years ago when they're casting this, or 15 years ago, let's say, it makes a lot more sense. He's seeming young and hip. He's a guy that clearly can work out, that can do, that can respond well to the obvious cycles that these guys go on.
And he lands a joke, which is what Iron Man did repeatedly, which is what characters in the Wolverine franchises do, which is what Spider-Man did.
But it's not
a punchline.
It's not what Cap does.
No, and I think the thing I would point out, though, is with the two of them, it's interesting because my thought is Dane Cook will give you exactly what you want. Dane Cook is going to train and go to acting classes and study with Uta Hagen and is going to give you, as soon as someone tells him who she is going to give you exactly what you want. We know he's very good at repeating other people's work verbatim. But then you get John Krasinski, a guy whose whole shtick is ad lib. So, I'm not trying to be too on the nose with that, but with John Krasinski.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying. Dane Cook knows how to stick to a repeated script, even if it's not one that he wrote.
But I'm going to pause you. Well, sorry, Nico, keep going with your point because I'm going to push back against it.
Well, but John Krasinski would have given you what a Robert Downey Jr. gave you in a more unexpected interpretation of the character, whereas I feel like Dane Cook would have been their perfect moldable boy. They could have made him the Cap of their dreams, and it would have been not my thing. I got to give it to John. So,
I almost I'll go on this a little bit, but I'm voting for John too. So, he wins, but I think you are a little mistaken. Who knows what would have happened in the years where this was being cast, but John Krasinski is Jack Ryan now. John Krasinski took the steroids they told him to and shows up and says the lines. He is exactly who you are talking about. He is basically playing another Captain America.
But 10 years ago, he wasn't that guy.
That is the point that you're making. I don't 100% know if I agree with it.
Well, more than anything, I wonder what would have happened to The Office if he became that guy, because we saw a lower tier of it with Chris Pratt, because he wasn't the lead of Parks and Rec, and he wasn't the leader of the MCU in any way. So it wouldn't be the same as Jim from The Office becoming Captain America. So much about that would have such a fascinating influence on pop culture, I think.
I completely agree. I think by the time they were shooting this, it would have disrupted maybe a little bit of the... Yeah, this would probably hit about the time The Office gets weird anyway. So does it super matter? I don't know. And then for the last season, 2 seasons, Jim is weirdly away for a lot of it because John Krasinski is too famous. So, it might not have changed that much, but I think it is funny that he's another Boston boy, who more comedy known, but I think responds very well bodily to what you need to do to act in a role like this. I will also say I would have loved for them to really not go the Aryan super soldier route for MCU Cap. And I think John Krasinski, exactly as he looks, not dyeing his hair blonde, not really doing anything else, could have been a really interesting way to be the all-American guy, but not the one that is gloriously Aryan.
Not this bleach blonde bimbo that we got here in the middle. I gotta say, looking at this image was the first time I understood how the zipper worked on this chest, by the way. I want this jacket so bad.
Oh, yeah.
It's that little diamond thing is where the zipper is. So cute.
And I just want to say, to Jonah's point of Yas for respect for acting, let's get yes and in here. That's literally what we wound up getting with Deadpool, with Ryan Reynolds. And so I think when you're talking about Dane Cook for Cap, you are talking about a world where Marvel saw Dane Cook as a Ryan Reynolds and Captain America as such a poorly understood character that you could have Deadpoolized him at the time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And we definitely got 2 for John. Kevo, was your official vote John or Dane?
Yeah. It would be interesting, but less interesting than Clivo, and definitely going John Krasinski.
Let's do it. John. All right. Now,
man.
Dominic Purcell versus David Duchovny as Bruce Banner. This is tough because unlike some of, not that I've, been definitively against TK's aging argument, but for me, this is the first time where the actors have nothing in common age-wise. Even if they are the same age, which I don't think is possible.
Hey,
I feel like, hey, Tasty Cake, right? Even if it's not that they are, even if they are the same age, I associate David Duchovny with 1992, and I associate Dominic Purcell with like 2007. So I automatically see these men at very different ages, and it is unfortunate that Dominic Purcell has that "I'm ready to get in the fight." Like, one of my favorite things is when people are like, "You always look so masculine until you open your mouth." And like, I never know what to make of that comment, but it's true. And and I feel like that's actually the case with the Hulk. The Hulk is all rage, and it's this cool idea to see a big buffed out Hulk. But Bruce Banner doesn't need to be big and buffed out to sell that. And while I think Dominic Purcell does have a ton of range, it's tough because I think the problem is David Duchovny has 3 modes, and I don't think any of them involve Bruce Banner. I don't think any of them come even close to Bruce
Come
Banner.
on. You don't see a track from Mulder to Bruce?
No, I do not see a direct line from a warm, good-natured man to the hideous monster that is Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is darker than the Hulk, and I don't see that kind of, I literally don't care if you live or die, coming from David Duchovny that I see from Bruce Banner, and so it's tough. I don't see David Duchovny regularly.
That's not how they portray him in the films, and has never been and is never going to be.
And I completely understand that, but we're also talking about the possibility of de-Aryanizing Captain America, which we knew they were never going to do. They were going to make him blonde and blue-eyed.
Right.
So I
do also agree that I'm not sure I feel that David Duchovny is capable of the levels of anger, like true serious anger, the way that we've seen them portray it through even Bruce, not just the Hulk. I really do hear where Nico's coming from on that.
And I hear, Jonah basically saying, he hears Bruce and can only think Batman, give it to the X-Files guy. I see Robbie saying, give it to Mr. X-Files. Tori giving multiple opinions saying it's all the David. I just think they've gotten the Hulk wrong every step. They've gotten Bruce Banner wrong every step. And if I have this choice of who can I recast, I just don't see David Duchovny as my Bruce Banner where I would take him. But I also don't know that I think Prison Break is anybody's best acting reel.
First of all, I was gobsmacked when you said 2007, because I was like, no, Prison Break's like 99. But nope, it is absolutely 2005 to 2007.
2005. Wow, I thought I was at least still in high school, but nope, that's just out. Wow.
Yep. I honestly, for all I'm arguing for Duchovny, he was never going to get my vote. First off, I'm down for oh, by the way, what?
I actually just want to say, the name Bruce used to be an insult that meant you were a homosexual. And it wasn't until the popularization of Batman as Bruce Wayne that de-emphasized the gay quality of the name Bruce. And
so that's part of why they changed it on the TV show?
And there also is like always writes things, and somebody owns this and somebody owns that, and you have to be careful of this and that. And there could have been somebody named Bruce Banner, or it could have been enough people that they legally couldn't use it.
It is a thing like that. It's not just that they didn't like it. It's that there was a problem using the name Bruce Banner. I used to know what this was.
And so for a million reasons, they went with David Bruce Banner, and now it's actually his name.
Yeah.
And
Dominic Purcell's 53. Mark Ruffalo's 55. David Duchovny is 63. So these aren't ageist arguments. It's more like, I think we all, even at the time of Iron Man 1, thought we would be getting a trilogy of films, maybe. So like, it's going to take 10 years. And in which case, these ages do matter. You know, now we're talking to
Yeah.
everybody. I'm like, cast them when they're 10 years old because they have to do this for the next 60
Forever.
years.
This is your life.
So we better get them while they're young. So, you know, given the option, age does play a bit of a factor. Yes. I do love David Duchovny. I do think David Duchovny could give me a really interesting Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner in particular can be whatever you want. There are some amazing Hulk runs. Nobody cares. At this point, honestly, guys, nobody cares about anything in the comics when they're making the movies. We're all so worried about all this X-Men stuff, and like, you know, they're starting to pitch the first X-Men film, and we're talking about all the films that they might use for it. They don't care about any of our ideas and what we love from the comics and all the great character growth and arcs we've seen.
They like algorithms.
Yeah, they like money. They like algorithms. They like what tests well. So, you know, in my mind, Bruce Banner in the MCU being like a Mulder-esque guy feels fully plausible. That said, I think David Purcell gives me more the guy who also has to play the CGI Hulk, like,
yes,
who has to have a billion dots on his face and then emote anger.
Drax. He'd be a great Drax.
He would also be a very good Drax, yes. Which we've got.
Wait, so who are you guys voting? I'm confused.
We're both David Purcell.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not Dominic Purcell. I'm not.
Or Dominic Purcell. You're not.
I'm torn. I don't know. Kevin, you went with David?
No, I don't know. I thought you were definitely Dominic. That's why I was confused.
I think David's a better actor, so I think I got to get this stuff. Okay. All right. Dominic Purcell. And I'm going to give it to Dominic Purcell just because I think David's too old and funny.
Yeah, you know, and I was going because I thought you were saying Dominic. I was going to throw in my protest vote for David because, you know, obviously we would all be fascinated to see David Duchovny as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, obviously. But end of the day, cards on the table. I think if we're talking about who we think would actually stick the landing better, yeah.
All right. So it's going to Dominic because he's got 2 votes. Though I see everybody from Jonah to Robbie to Tori to Tasty, they're all going David.
And guys, I'm voting Dominic, but I love David Duchovny so much. So like, and I know Nico and Kevo do too. Like, we all love David Duchovny. It's just realistically,
we fell in love with him like the rest of the country watching Californication.
I hate you.
And frankly, who needs it a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. We're really trying to boost some careers in this alternate timeline we're putting together.
As Tori points out, since most of the comic community is redhead characters, David looks great next to small redheads, just saying.
There you go. Speaking of redheads, not small.
Yeah.
I'm going to get right ahead of this one. Even though he is apparently a complete and total garbage person, I, right off the bat, no hesitation, it's Kevin McKidd.
Yeah, Kevin McKidd versus Daniel Craig as Thor. This is not even a question for me. Who was pushing for Daniel Craig for Thor?
Honestly,
Loki maybe.
Odin
maybe.
100%. I think Anthony Hopkins. I think Anthony Hopkins is a little too old and never. They really try. God love him, and I love Anthony Hopkins. You know, we did a lot about Silence of the Lambs last week. He never appears like he is going into battle.
One of the things I noted when I read that they were looking at Kevin McKidd is that's when they were talking about involving the Donald Blake persona.
Right.
And so I thought, you know, Grey's Anatomy, interesting.
Yeah.
But I wonder if...
Grey's Anatomy, New Orleans Family Burn Unit.
I wonder if when they were thinking about having it be dual personas, if they were even considering it being so extreme that Thor could be played by a different actor, and maybe Daniel Craig would have been playing Thor, and I could see him as like playing a wizened god warrior, but I couldn't see him like having a love moment with Natalie Portman or whoever Jane Foster would have been played by. But no. No.
Maybe an appropriately aged Natalie Wood, but like Natalie Portman, Jesus. Daniel Craig, really, as Jonah says, I cannot help but see Daniel Craig as Thor 007 trying to throw a hammer at people. It would be automatically, I just see him in that little bathing suit coming out of the water going, have at thee. Have at thee. If I can
will.
Right, if I could just put a thing out there, Stan Lee was many things, right? Stanley Leibowitz was a brilliant man and an incredible creator and a tremendous businessman. But one thing he was not was an authority on Norse mythology. So when he decided that all Norse people spoke some sort of Shakespearean, Victorian, Middle English hybrid, and just decided that Thor says, have at thee, we really sort of forgot that he's Norse. And we got this weird interpretation of all Vikings as sounding sort of British. And this has somehow proliferated pop culture. And I think that might be the only reason anybody would want Daniel Craig as Thor, the voice and the accent. Because as Robbie says, who the hell wanted Daniel Craig? I got to give this to Kevin McKidd, and I don't think I know who the Kevin McKidd he is.
This is another one. Keep in mind, Thor comes out 2011, so they're probably filming it 2009. That photo of Daniel Craig in the bathing suit is from like 2006. So when they're starting to think about casting this, he's feeling real right.
Real full in the booty.
Yep. 2022 or 2020, I don't think he's looking so great for Love and Thunder. God bless the guy.
Are you Kevin McKidd me?
Jonah, if you're going to make jokes like this, you better throw your camera on and get on the show, because I'm not just going to allow this in text. Kevin McKidd, for what apparently a garbage person he is like, I think, looks more like what I would want for Thor than Chris Hemsworth does.
He would also make me feel very safe if he was what the bouncer looked like at the club.
Yeah. He's a real big, thick dude. He's always been that kind of big, Chris Hemsworth's body is never gonna recover from what he has done to it to be Thor and then lied to us all that it's all natural. Just sign up for his workout program. Guys, don't sign up for that. The secret is HGH. It's not doing more crunches.
Kevin McKidd is only 6 foot. Jesse Williams is an inch taller than him. Now I don't know how I feel about Kevin McKidd anymore.
Well, now it's all
about
over.
Special Burns unit.
Are you Kevin McKidding me?
We can't allow this to become a thing.
Oh wait, I thought this was Thor, not the Punisher.
How dare
I'm not Thor. It just hurts.
I can't have these puns anymore. All right, I'm giving it to Kevin McKidd.
Yeah, we're giving it to him anyway. Sorry,
I love
Dan.
him.
You
Take
will
him
be
to the
ignored.
Family Burns unit.
Now I do just want to mention, since we
Women.
just passed Thor. Now, Kevo, I don't know if you had slides for the people who didn't make the list.
No, I'm sorry.
But I just want to mention a couple of the people who
shout out to
Mark Ruffalo, the original first choice for Bruce Banner, and then they went with Ed Norton instead. So, interesting choice there.
Yeah, there were a few alternates that I made all these other lovelies, so I didn't have a chance to make slides for these rejects. But some of the more interesting ones that I found were first choices for Rhodey and Bruce being Don Cheadle and Mark Ruffalo. So essentially, it's a Bryce Dallas Howard and Twilight situation where they just ended up with the choice they wanted anyway.
I'm so glad that's in her IMDb. Star Wars director Bryce Dallas Howard.
Twilight. They looked at Liam Hemsworth for Thor, or I think he auditioned, and they were like, "No, we want the big one." And everyone's
leave the third sad brother out of this.
Leave him out. And then everybody's teen butt fantasy, Ryan Phillippe, was in the running for Captain America. Would you have
taken him over?
I was gonna say
it would have been a too obvious home run. That's why we left it out.
The problem is, I don't think that's the case. He's such a fucking sleazeball. He's gorgeous though, and I think he's another one who, I think he would have signed up for the role just for the personal training.
And for the
you know,
reinvigorated career, for the making it onto the
exactly.
magazine covers and saying, I'm doing this at 45 the same way I did it at 25. And if it had
Exactly.
gone this way, doing it at 55 too.
But he is a huge piece of shit, and I'm sure the casting directors could smell that.
If
And
even Reese Witherspoon was like, I can't do this. Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is? Do you know who Reese Witherspoon is, as she would likes to say to cops?
yeah, neither of them is actually America's sweetheart, people. So,
But we do have some sweethearts here for
women!
us. We got some women. There's actually women in this series. Did you know?
So
women in the mix.
I need to start out with, if you're wondering, I would cast Natalie Portman as Batman, Robin, and the Joker. I would have them all reenact Death in the Family for me. I don't think Natalie Portman can do a goddamn thing wrong. She might be the best actress of all time.
Barbara Gordon, Natalie Portman would have been great.
I just don't care. I would blind myself. And I have felt this way since I am like 10 years old. I was the only person who was like, no, she was great in Phantom Menace. You're all idiots. My obsession with Natalie Portman goes back a very long time. It is one of my longest relationships with a woman. I love her.
I wish she would do more stupid things and take herself a little less seriously. Like when Sandra Bullock was on too many episodes of the George Lopez show. I wish she was a recurring character on Fuller House.
Really?
That's what I want from Natalie Portman more than anything else. Yeah. I want Natalie raps Natalie, not severe
Natalie.
I agree. And unfortunately, I don't think this is the role where she ends up being funny.
Well, because, they gave, I keep forgetting her name, the beautiful black Jewish trans person on the screen in the middle. What's her name again? Scarlett Johansson, right. They gave her so many funny lines.
I feel like they even were like, we're giving her a little sass, and it was always just this so stupid, and she's never women really were not well loved by the MCU until these most recent couple phases. And like, even then, the fact that we got such a watered down, unhappy Cersei, when the Cersei, the comic character, is just 8 levels of cunt that Gemma Chan is immediately ready to serve. And instead she's just like, I don't know. But like, then we get She-Hulk. So we know that there are people in the office that understand that like women can be fucking hilarious and have fun. And I really do think that past that second Iron Man movie, Black Widow would have been a really good character to be a little bit funny, to have some moment where she's like, we're all going to die someday. I just want to laugh a little bit. Like, I want to do something stupid. I want to do something fun. I don't think Scarlett Johansson would have been the best person to carry that out, but I actually do think Natalie Portman in that role, told to like have some fun. Kevo, you said it, like, Natalie Portman rapping, say something about the prequels, bitch, is hilarious. She really is capable of comedy. She doesn't use it that much. And I don't believe they would have made it happen. But in my dream, when we're casting AUs, I love this idea. And I'm still so fixated on Emily Blunt and John Krasinski as the 2 worst heterosexuals in Marvel Comics, Reed Richards and Sue, that I don't ever want anything but that.
But I think this variation would have been so fascinating, and I wonder how it would have affected the storytelling of the films to have Captain America and Natasha married in real life.
Yeah.
That's not an out of realm.
No, because they almost did it. They were test ballooning it when they're talking in Cap 2 about his dates. Yep. That they were like, if the audience says, well, why didn't she speak up and say that she would date him? Then they were gonna try that one out. But I don't think any of us really cared about Scarlett Johansson and Chris, because that's just 2 hot people smashing their bodies together. But like, if the chemistry between John Krasinski and Emily Blunt is real, that might have actually made for a very interesting thing for that. I still really would prefer them as, you know, the garbage Fantastic Four couple.
And I just want to remind everybody that, you know, Natalie Portman has accomplished everything she has. And when she was in Harvard, she snorted all that yay. She cheated every test. She drank every day.
I think that at the end of the day, no matter what, we definitely need to see the Krasinski family as a Fantastic Four family in the film. I don't know if we will end up with them as our main Fantastic family.
Apparently, we're going to find out really soon.
It's what we hear. That's what they're saying. Once the strikes clear up, they have the casting. It's cast. But we shall see. So did
the
we?
Die has been
my vote is for Miss Hirschlag.
As is mine.
Oh, so you guys voted Natalie?
That is correct.
No, I'm very surprised.
Natalie Portman is the finest actress of her generation.
I do
she is a Meryl Streep with her hair pulled far tighter.
Okay, so we are cutting Emily Blunt and going with Natalie Wood.
Though I need to say that Natalie Blunt gotta go. I could use a Natalie Blunt. I do think Emily Blunt's Yelena Belova to Natalie Portman's Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. Natalie Portman's
Black Widow
would be a beautiful compliment.
It would be different because they would not be big sister, little sister.
Right, they'd be sisters.
Yeah.
If Emily Blunt had been cast as Natasha, I never know how to say her first name, but Saoirse Ronan, that lady, she was in the running for Yelena.
Yes,
so
which was another one on the list.
She a good Yelena to Emily Blunt's Natasha, if that is how that had gone.
Yep, I like that. But in this case, Natalie. Now we got to find somebody else for Jane Thor, which, you know, maybe we can pick a terrible actor who deserved to be disrespected the way you were in that role. Poor Natalie.
And because some of these spider roles are so interesting, we actually doubled up on both Black Widows and Spider-Man. And so we have two other potential Black Widows here that were in the running, because there were always a lot of people for these characters.
It's the Invisible Woman, and it's NSYNC's Yoko Ono. So we have Jessica Alba versus Jessica Biel, and I hope that is how the media starts referring to her.
Truly, you are the worst for saying that.
I think this is an absolute no fucking brainer. If you
Dark Angel, of course,
ever watched Dark Angel with your two eyes and you cannot see Jessica Alba as the Black Widow, I cannot help you.
And I also want to throw out there, if you have not watched Dark Angel with your two eyes,
find it right the fuck now.
Google it while continuing to watch this show till the end.
So stupid and so fun and so good and so bad at the same time.
Why is there a Pontiac Aztec in the dystopian future, people? Who can say?
All male supporting characters are vaguely interchangeable. It's no big deal. Just deal with the future. It's so good.
Jensen Ackles reference.
I was actually going to mention putting him in the mix because he was up for Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah.
So he's been a few things then, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, Jonah, I'm sorry. So Jonah asks, isn't that the main villain of Final Fantasy VII? And I just want to make sure, which character did I say was generational trauma? Generational trauma is the bad guy of Final Fantasy VII. Everybody is wounded by the fact that they're conscripted into war. Anyway, so
really, really, truly, Tori, by the way, she says Jessica Biel on the center. I believe you mean Jessica Biel from Seventh Heaven. Like that can't be said enough.
And Jessica Biel in The Illusionist is that?
No, Prestige.
No, The Prestige is the other one. She's in The Illusionist with Ed Norton.
So one of the things that I specifically wanted to do with a lot of the actors that I did end up choosing, because a lot of these people have multiple choices, but I wanted to choose people that have really interesting connections throughout the MCU, like John Krasinski, not just because of Emily Blunt, because then he did play Mr. Fantastic in a capacity, could again, we don't know. And Jessica Alba, again, such an interesting one where she played Sue Storm, and they were still yet looking at her the same way that they had looked at Chris Evans, who had already played Johnny Storm, and it's just
Which
and
is just-
Jessica Biel was in Blade Trinity, and I
Yep.
don't want to discount
yes.
that. She
Oh
played.
my God, no! Please don't.
It's a
She was
terrible
the third
film,
Heat.
but Hannibal King, like that's Blade Trinity at least has some like legitimate characters.
It's so fascinating how many of these actors circle around these properties so much.
And it's also funny that like the other films truly meant nothing to Marvel Studios that was trying to make these movies. They did in no way care that Jessica Alba was recognizable as Sue Storm. Doesn't matter. We're building a whole new franchise. We're never getting these properties back. How could we ever? Fox can't sell them to us. We can't pay for them.
Nobody could have
Because-
enough material on Rupert Murdoch that could finally back him into a corner.
Because it needs to be underlined in a post No Way Home world that it is a different perspective now. Now, if they do something like that, it's haha, wink, isn't this funny and great?
Right.
But at the time, it was actually giving a middle finger to the Fantastic Four movies and saying, we don't
We're guessing
care.
you're not making another one.
If the rumor about the female lead in Deadpool 3 is true, I am literally at my emotional limit for excitement. If the rumor for the female lead of Deadpool 3 is true.
Jessica Biel?
A couple of electric nachos.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that Mama might be making an appearance.
Is it going to be Jen and Elodie?
Just Jen Garner.
Just Jen, yeah.
If
no one cares about Elodie.
Really
Sorry,
is
Al.
Elektra in Deadpool, like the rumors are saying,
Huh.
her Elektra off of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is my Larry Hama dreams come true.
Yeah.
I forgot this point, Tori. Thank you for reminding us that it's 2 Johnny Storms that are in the MCU. Killmonger.
Oh,
is Johnny
yeah,
Storm.
that's right. He's Johnny Storm.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
Great catch.
If only we'd gotten that guy from the 1994 movie.
I know.
You mean where Harmony from Buffy played a young Sue Storm? True. Fact check. So
So we voted Jessica Alba,
we
right?
voted Jessica Alba in an
Yeah,
instant, but then took some time to talk about these two.
Kevo,
amazing
you were in
women
the
your
mix on
careers.
this too. You didn't have a protest vote for the worst Hamden child.
No.
When I see their happy faces.
Oh, Hamden works. Is she the worst one? It is a race to the bottom. With
It is
those
a race to the
kids.
bottom.
Lucy.
Simon is the worst one.
Lucy is the worst one.
Lucy is the best one.
The twins.
Ruthie is the best one.
Oh, sorry.
Ruthie's the worst one.
Ruthie's, yeah, you're right. Ruthie is
I'm
the
so
best
sorry,
one.
guys.
Lucy
We're
is the most.
restarting this show as
It's a
10
seventh heaven. It was a bracket just rating all of the people on seventh heaven. All right, Jessica Alba. Here we go. It is my least favorite Anna and my most favorite Allison.
Really?
I never knew that about you, and I love being your partner, but you really don't love Anna Kendrick?
I have a personal problem with Anna Kendrick.
Tori has a point about Seventh Heaven that we have to share.
No.
That
Wait, okay. Actually,
The dad.
I would like to make a point.
We weren't
The
making
dad-
that joke.
The mom's not great either.
If you take the mom is Catherine Hicks, and she's a fucking national gift.
Where did she go in the future of Star Trek? Where is she?
If I may, actually, Seventh Heaven is a show about being trialed by Satan. And in that regard, the dad is just Satan, so it's no big deal. No, this actually for me is asking to pick between two of my favorite young women actresses that I saw grow up into phenomenal, capable, incredible adult actresses. For one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel Comics. I mean, Sharon Carter would go in my top 50 easily. In comics, she is just one of the greatest characters of all time ever. And this is an unfair ask, and I have to give it to Alison Brie because I have seen Alison Brie act the fuck off the entire cast of Mad Men, something that I've never seen John Hamm do once, no matter how many sausages he smuggles between his cheeks. So I really got to give it to Alison Brie on this one, who is just truly one of the most talented things to grace a television screen ever. Thanks, Philo Farnsworth.
Alison Brie, the baller who could have acted the pants off everyone on Mad Men and personally chose Community instead. Like, good for you, girl.
Boopy
is
doop
one of the
sex.
funniest. You nailed it. She is one of the funniest parts of Community. Annie is great.
Do you want to vent your Anna Kendrick grievances, though? You sounded pretty mad.
I can't literally imagine anyone thinking anything but Anna Kendrick would be like the coolest best friend I've ever had in my entire life, and all I would want to do is support her.
She sucks.
She seems kind of
so
obnoxious.
mean.
I get it.
So mean and horrible to be around.
Coincidentally, you both look dumb today.
And yeah, and she gets away with saying stuff like that because she's 5'2", just like you get away with saying stuff like that because you're 6'1" and handsome. But you know what? If she was really frumpy and she said all the things she said, she would not get away with jack shit. But because she's pretty, but not too threateningly pretty, because she looks like a chipmunk,
I haven't left the bubble.
she can say anything.
And I think Anna Kendrick knows how that feels.
She is a Portlander, and we had two specific friends in common that meant that we were at a lot of the same parties.
Wait, Anna Kendrick?
Yes.
That's insane. I have never heard of your city before in my life, and now it's all I hear about.
Oh, but did you know there's a Portland, Pennsylvania?
No, get out of here. We're not talking about that.
And
So,
right
your
next to
story.
Canadaensis.
Your story.
She's just super mean. Like, she's just was not fun to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the most disappointing thing in the world was going to see Twilight in theaters and discovering that she was there. Anna Kendrick.
You could have stopped that sentence earlier.
Tori Sheehan says Anna Kendrick is getting away with shit we turned against Mindy Kaling for. 100%, if not worse, and like nobody has once been like, oh, I went up to her. She was so nice. Oh, I served her at a restaurant. She was so nice. Oh, I was super drunk and doing keg stands in front of her, and she definitely didn't call me a gay slur. Anyway. Anyway.
I would let Allison Brie call me a gay slur, though.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was doing cake stands in front of her and she said it, I would have laughed and been like, we're friends. Even if she thought we weren't. But not you, Anna Kendrick. Anyway, I'm also voting for Allison Brie. So
Allison Brie's Sharon Carter. But if I can just say that Sharon Carter is maybe cast by one of the few women that oh my God, if Emily Van Camp is watching this right now, I will divorce my husband and marry you in an instant right now. He's right over there.
He's right
I'm
there.
saying this openly.
This is how serious the sacrifice is.
I am so goddamn in love with you. It gets stuck
I get
in my
her
throat.
husband bunny teeth. Ooh, I get bunny teeth. Yeah, so I'm fine with this situation now.
This is an incredibly cast role, an exquisite character, and I can only hope that they finally give her the due she deserves in the Marvel Universe in this upcoming run.
And I really appreciate what Tori said here, specifically that Anna can't not do quirky. It's not that she can't do any amount of serious at all, but she can do like Glee levels of serious. She can't do the way Allison Brie genuinely delivered so much human emotion on Mad Men, on Community, in life.
On Glow.
Yeah.
I know so many people that say Glow, the Netflix series, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, is absolutely a tremendous tribute to the industry. So got to give it up for Glow.
An interesting thing is Sharon basically is such a waste of a character because whether it's Emily Camp or Van Camp. Yes,
Van Camp.
I always get her and Anna Camp confused.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or Allison.
Because Anna Kendrick.
Exactly. You have amazing actresses who could have done a lot for like an action role. And this role that really could have been a huge action role that nothing happens with for no reason. Like even at the tail end of Falcon and Winter Soldier, she just gets like a little bit of action, and it's done with the addition of so much character assassination. It's like almost not worth it.
I'm glad Jonah's not on this episode because I would just be making faces at him because he's just killing it in the comments section. Was that a Pitch Perfect joke? So
anyway, we're giving this one to Allison Brie.
Allison Brie, who is,
and then now we have like the one outlier.
We have an interesting category here.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So, what I discovered that I found most fascinating while we were doing the research for this episode was specifically how many times one Miss Jessica Chastain had to specifically turn down being in the MCU. So instead, we are saying, which role would you rather have seen Jessica Chastain in?
Yep.
And this doesn't even include she was in the first place offered the role of Maya Hansen in Iron Man 3, and she said,
The
"No,
villain of Extremis.
I'm not going to be a villain." And this was probably when she was like the baller villain too, before she got watered down. So she
Yeah.
said, "No, I'm not being the villain." Then she got offered Dr. Christine Palmer and said, "No, I'm not being the sidekick." And then she got Wasp, and something else happened with her schedule, so she couldn't be Wasp.
She didn't want to
And
get the fuck ass Bob.
And then instead we
Sorry.
got Vuk. But as we've seen from this list, it won't matter for the future, so she
Yep,
could still
doesn't
play
matter.
something else. But for now,
This is really difficult because I like Rachel McAdams, but I hate her as Christine Palmer.
That is correct.
And I don't like Evangeline Lilly, and I hate her as Hope.
Hope.
Yeah.
Hope.
Hope Van Dyne.
I always forget it because it's so wrong that it's Hope, who is our girl from MC2, who is not a good person. And meanwhile,
And
there is what?
Finish first.
There's a Nadia who is a great person, who is the daughter of Janet, who anyway, it just makes no sense that she's Hope Van Dyne. Go.
The baby that is born on the Serpent's Pass in Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Yeah.
named Hope. Emma Swan's baby that she has,
Yeah.
named Hope. Julia Wicker's baby, named Hope. So the fact that this woman was named Hope, I was like, if you invent a woman, she's named Hope. That's just normal. I am not surprised.
That's what we do.
You invented a woman to be a child of legacy characters. Of course, her name
She's
is
the
Hope.
hope of the next gen. Yeah.
I only wish his name had been Hope Picard.
If it's a man, it's usually Daniel.
Oh yeah, because interesting. I want to say one thing though. I'm with you, TK. Except I hate Evangeline Lilly in most things, while thinking she's a fine actress. Some of her political opinions really not my thing, but I specifically love her as Hope Van Dyne. I think the character has a lot of heart, but I'm going to say something kind of weird. I don't like Jessica Chastain and would really love to see her have a chance to really, because I think she seems like a lovely person, but I have not really had an opportunity to love her in a role. And, Cage Club owner Joey Lewandowski is a humongous fan and has told me so many incredible films I can watch her in and that she's really, truly excellent in them.
What a weird thing to have discussed with a person that you do a Fast and the Furious podcast with.
Yeah, well, because we talked about X-Men, Dark Phoenix. But the big thing here is I don't think Dr. Christine Taylor would give Jessica Chastain enough room to really develop the sort of acting I would really love to see her get to showcase in a Marvel film, the way I think Hope Van Dyne would give her the room to play off of Michael Douglas, to play off of ultimately Michelle Pfeiffer. And I think, if you're asking me big picture, I could see a Jessica Chastain operating against somebody like I can't think of who played the bad guy in Ant-Man 2 all of a sudden.
Kang? No. Was that 3? Oh, Ghost. Ghost.
Yeah, I can't think of her name all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't remember her name either, but is also Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, but I'm imagining Jessica Chastain interacting with this young woman, giving her an opportunity to come out of this darkness. And I could really see Jessica Chastain shining in that role.
Hannah John Kamen.
It's one of those names that I only know because of things like the MCU, for which I think it's like Ruth Negga, who just doesn't get enough work. But you know her if you've watched Preacher,
yes.
You know her if you've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's just an absolute queen. And, there's just so many character actresses that don't get enough work despite how many incredible performances they've given in major things like the MCU.
I was also picturing Walton Goggins when you said the bad guy from Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's the dude that's after them.
Oh, wow. Great catch.
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten that character existed.
Yeah, this was Tori's point when I mentioned that this was one of the potential ones as well, that they had done Rachel McAdams so dirty
Yeah.
with how little Christine had to do. It would have been worse to do that to Chastain. Hey, Taryn. Taryn is second Tori's Chastain for Sue Storm. That's not on the board, guys.
Nope.
But I
we
love
can't,
you.
We can't do that one. Kevo, do you have thoughts specifically on this one?
Well, what's the current temperature?
I gotta give it to Hope Van Dyne, where I really think she has the room to shine.
Oh, I thought. Oh my gosh, you're right. There just is no law for these until we actually say the definitive thing. I have no idea what we're talking about. Okay, all right. I thought that whole argument was for how you don't like her, therefore she wouldn't be good for Hope, but you like her enough that she would be good for Christine.
I like her so much as a potential. Like I like the actress.
Thank
as
you
a
for doing that,
person.
Pam.
I like her as a human, and I like the potential I've seen. And I don't think Christine Palmer gives her enough room to grow, but I do think Hope Van Dyne does. I feel like Tori understood what I was trying to say. And I agree with Tasty Cake. There is always room for Hope. Raising Hope.
No, don't keep naming hopes.
Raising
Kevo,
Arizona.
Wait, no one answered my question. What is the current temperature? So Nico said he is voting for Chastain as Hope.
Yes.
TK, did you have a vote yet?
I don't have a vote
You're
yet.
not sure yet?
That's why I asked you.
So then I'm going to put you in the position that you often put me in, where I'm going to make you be the tiebreaker, because I think Chastain as Christine would be interesting, and I wonder how it would have affected the character, because I think one of the things that always made Rachel McAdams as Christine Palmer such a strange thing is the disparity between her and Benedict Cumberbatch. And maybe it's just because we always see her as Regina George.
No, but she's
doesn't she seem 20 years younger than him at times?
Yes,
though? And
she
I
does.
wonder if someone who was more on the same level as Benedict Cumberbatch, if they would have expanded the role better. So I'm going to say Chastain as Christine for the hope that it would have pushed the character in a different direction.
Here's what's absolutely fucking wild. She is only 3 years younger than Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well,
Rachel?
Yeah,
she's
Rachel
so much
McAdams.
more famous is a thing. That's I just want to say she got famous as a younger person.
Right.
So
we just have frozen her. Yes.
But I think the bigger thing is that she's 5 times more famous than him and playing his girlfriend love interest. And to her credit, for me, she is an actress that plays the role asked of her. So instead of shining, she chose to demure into the background. I don't think Jessica Chastain has that speed.
Doctor Strange is 2016.
Wow, he old.
Her 2 big roles that we like love and know her from are 2004, Notebook and
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls. So her star has waned even by the time she's getting cast in this film. She's not a huge star. Jessica Chastain, meanwhile, hugely on the rise at that time. But she does, have kind of I feel like Jessica Chastain has kind of a stature that just feels a little more like, and maybe I'm talking like literal physical height, like literally at eye level with Benedict Cumberbatch, and just feels a little bit less like he's talking down at her the whole time.
Hold on. My boyfriend is stepping out of line because I have something in common with his mother and think that the Sarah Jessica Parker Thanksgiving Spectacular,
oh my God,
that is the
where
family
she drops
stone,
the fucking egg
one
dish.
of the best holiday movies ever created.
What hell is this?
The history of the world. I don't know why.
God.
This is like liking a White Christmas more than Holiday Inn.
The breast scene?
The Family Stone.
Oh.
Who even is this family? It's a Sarah Jessica Parker movie. Yeah, hot Craig T. Nelson before I knew he was a crazy conservative. I will die on this hill. The Family Stone is a family classic. Excellent film.
I actually do think it's an excellent film, coming from a family that is very difficult to break into.
Yep.
I don't
Same.
even hate it. It's just, what is this hill that you're like?
Yeah, it is a
best
weird.
movie."
It's a weird hill for Jonah and Nico to have taken up on together.
It is the second best Sarah Jessica Parker film ever made.
Brother versus brother. When will the madness end?
That is nonsense right out the gate. That is a non-starter thing to say. I'm like off the top of my head thinking of already 4 different films that are better than Family Stone for Sarah Jessica Parker, including basically all 3 Sex and the City films.
Wait, where'd you get a third one from?
Oh, there isn't the third one, is there?
No, it's just in your heart. And that one's good. And that one makes the trilogy good. I
Yeah.
love that one too.
Oh, no. You know what the third
what?
one is? You know what the third
What?
one is? It's Hocus
And
Pocus.
just like
Yeah, can I be honest with you? Hocus Pocus, the #1 Sarah Jessica Parker movie ever made.
Yes, that is number 1.
You know what? And I'm gonna cut this tangent off in 1 second, but let's be real. We're gonna get a third Sex and the City movie at this point. It's gonna be the series finale, and even if it's a TV movie, it's gonna happen. So let's just
called
stop being
just
like,
that,
no.
Sex in the City.
And just like this.
Just like this.
And even if we don't count the Sex and the City films, Mars Attacks would come before Family Stone. So
My favorite movie from
Hocus Pocus, Mars Attacks. That's 2 right there. So already you're wrong.
Mannequin. So
back to the Woman of the Hour. As
Sarah Jessica Parker, who loved the subway.
They called her on Between Two Ferns, Jessica Chastain, and I've never laughed harder in my life.
yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker's not even the best Woody Allen.
Oh man.
All right. It's got to go to the character with meat, not the character who we meet.
I basically think so.
I will love you no matter what you do.
Thank you. I want to say Christine because of high hopes, but I just know when she's getting cast and where we are, she's not going to become the night nurse. You know, if that's Rosario Dawson, and I wish either character had become a superhero-esque type of character at the level of the other people in her realm. What?
If Jessica Chastain became night nurse and then became Ahsoka, I have to go.
Get out of my house. I'm giving it to Hope Van Dyne. I should punish you, but I am. I'm giving it to Hope. All right. Now we got to move faster through this next round.
All right.
Oh, right. We do this first. I completely forgot.
I think John Krasinski offers us a glimpse at the what if that is the sort of the source of all what ifs.
Yeah.
The possibility of his Reed Richards became so significant that Marvel reacted to what is essentially just a gathered rumor. Now, gathered rumors in Hollywood tend to be, somewhat true. But this pushed Marvel into an uncomfortable position where they had to give fans what they wanted in some capacity. I think the potentiality of John Krasinski only being realized in such a short form in the couple of scenes he had in Multiverse of Madness certainly outweighs my interest in more from Justin Hammer's Sam Rockwell. Not that Sam Rockwell isn't super talented, but I would be really more excited to see what John Krasinski could have brought long-term to the Marvel Universe.
And I think the fact that we got Sam Rockwell's Justin Hammer is literally them being like, oh, what if he was Iron Man?
What if he's bad Iron Man?
Right. So, much more interesting to go with John Krasinski. That's 2, but Kevo, you got any thoughts?
I'm with the team.
All right.
Well, okay, but Tori, please remember to keep voting as we're going. We'll just keep
scream things.
Just keep shouting.
Caps and as many letters as possible.
Wow, this is 2 guys that are both so hot that I would consider letting them think they could commit the hate crime to trap them in bed. Geez. Dominic Purcell as Hulk or Kevin McKidd as Thor. I got to be honest, between the 2 of them, Dominic Purcell really seems like he's got a little bit more poetry in those eyes. He seems a little bit more like he was really moved by the words of Tupac Shakur as a young man and has been writing his own poetry, where Kevin McKidd looks like his idea of poetry is there once was my dick from Nantucket. So I think I have to give it to Dominic Purcell.
And I will be giving it to Kevin McKidd.
Episode's over. Thank you, everybody. 3 things.
No, I'm also with my kid.
Woo!
I get a lot of the things you're saying about being interested with Purcell, but nah, yeah.
If you've
Down to
ever
the
seen,
wire.
Love this for me specifically.
if you've ever seen my general taste in angry-looking men, Dominic Purcell does check that a little bit more. And since I just don't have as much familiarity with Kevin McKidd's work, it just sort of defaulted.
Thank you for that generous reminder that I need to make you watch 19 seasons of Grey's Anatomy.
Hey, you know what? I'll do it. It turns out that 6 seasons of Glee is one of the best decisions I've ever made with my time ever.
I'm going to tell you
none.
right now, it would not be the same for Grey's Anatomy.
I
I'd
don't
never tell
care.
anybody
You're
to
just
watch
special. So, all right. You're asking me to pick between my absolute, like, seriously, my favorite actors of her generation and, Mexican Sue Storm. And that's not fair because I really love Jessica Alba.
Let's stop for a second here. What we're talking about is, in this case, again, who's playing the better Black Widow? And
okay. No, then it's Natalie Portman. I forgot this was the same courses. I forgot this was the same character. No, Natalie Portman can literally do anything. I don't understand. Natalie Portman could play a young Meryl Streep playing Natalie Portman. What don't you understand?
I love Natalie. Though I don't like her like you do and thought she was wrong for Jane and for Mighty Thor, loved her as Mighty Thor. I came around on her so hard.
For me, I know.
For you specifically.
You came so hard for him.
Came real hard. It is obviously Jessica Alba is the better Black Widow. We talked about this already. She's Dark Angel.
I don't know.
Yes, but I do have one word for you.
What? What's the word?
And that word is Russian.
It's so
I'm just
rare
saying.
that even ScarJo has to do the accent, and it never matters.
Wait, South American Russian, Mexican Russian. I could see it. Okay.
She does. She gives you that one bujmoy in the first Avengers, and that's basically the only time you really get much Russian out of ScarJo. Can I feel like even what?
Can I just say that actually between the two of them, if one of them is going to sit there and really study the comics, it is going to be Natalie Portman. Jessica Alba is a really beautiful person, and she wants everybody to buy her Goop-like products, but you can't convince me that she's going to read 345 issues of Black Widow the way Natalie Portman would judge Jessica Alba for not reading 345 issues.
Were we ever told that she read a single issue of Mighty Thor?
She actually did read the Jason Aaron run of Mighty Thor.
Do we know that?
She talked about it.
Okay.
She's very proud,
voting for Jessica
hammer.
Alba. I still like it better.
I love that. Kevo, did you Natalie us?
Well, how do we feel about this thought, though, that we would lose Jane and Jane Thor that we got?
In this universe, who did we decide is Thor?
So we've got a Kevin McKidd Thor, and then, oh my God.
I want Sandra Oh as Jane Thor.
I was going to say, hold on, I got to get her name. Oh, Kim Raver. Kim Raver, who plays his wife on Grey's Anatomy, who is also named Teddy Altman because
the other Teddy Altman.
Yes,
right.
And I always,
that noise.
Because they're both what's his name?
Yeah.
Okay. So Tasty Cake.
Fine,
I just want to give Tasty Cake this credit for having a lot more knowledge about the DC EU than me. Seeing DC, knowing that he's a Legends of Tomorrow villain is actually really sweet because Wentworth Miller went through such. Please answer that.
Wentworth Miller, I think, is Captain Cold.
Went through such a hard time and was a character on Legends of Tomorrow, and it was so hard for him to come out. So seeing that Dominic Purcell would continue to support his old friend after he'd come out of the closet, that's just a really lovely thing to see.
I mean, I suspect Dominic Purcell knew he was gay the whole time.
I would imagine anybody who's ever looked at Wentworth Miller could assume that he was a homosexual.
I mean, I'm sure he was gobbling down on dicks in that trailer back in the Prison Break days. Sorry.
Looking like that, he better be.
Right, exactly. Okay, so
Goblin.
Just gobbling them down. Sorry, it was the head of gobbler and then the Wawa fucking gobbler thing that Kevo showed me.
And the family stone, don't forget.
Yeah,
So,
true. Yes.
all right, it's got to go to Natalie Portman, guys.
Not until Kevo votes for that.
Is it tied?
Yes.
Because I'm fully Alba.
And I am all poor. She is my Shiksa goddess.
I'm gonna go with the audience on this one,
wait,
so that
I'm
I
the
don't have
Shiksa?
to get in trouble.
Yes.
I'm Goyim.
Yes, you are the Goy.
I'm
She
Goy.
and I are the chosen people.
Stunning. So, Kevo, you have an opinion. You are also chosen people. So,
I gave my opinion. You were talking over me, bitch.
I'm so sorry. Would you please repeat it?
I said that I'm going to go with what the audience said because I don't want to have to get in trouble. So we're gonna go with Portman.
Okay, you're all wrong, but that's fine. Now here's an interesting one. Would we rather see? Wait, who the fuck are they again?
It's Allison Brie.
As Sharon Carter or Jessica Chastain. I absolutely Allison Brie as Sharon Carter. I don't have the same love of Emily Van Camp that you do. I like her a lot, but it's also a problem with Sharon. Like, so I'm maybe hoping that Allison Brie brings Sharon to life in a way where she gets the spotlight she deserves. I don't really have much hope for Hope.
I get that.
Yeah, I'm Brie all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Honestly, I think it's Kevin McKidd. I don't like Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
I hear it. I definitely think it goes to John Krasinski. Like I said, it's the potentiality of the future of,
Man, it's
the
so
promise.
funny because you shit talked him so hard.
It's just how it works out, which one it is.
Keep breaking ties, Kibissimo.
Hold on. I'm trying to keep up with how fast we're going now so I can keep flashing the stuff in the comments and have people be able to keep up with where we are in the episode. A tiebreaker? Oh, no.
I mean, we could hash it out more. You could convince me to change my vote on Kevin McKidd.
No. I think I am going to probably also go with Krasinski. It just feels like the safe vote. I'm sorry. I don't know Kevin McKidd as well. And
you guys didn't watch Rome, did you?
No.
Jesus.
And so what? He's got Rome and he's got Grey's Anatomy, and what else does he have? And I think that's really more where I'm coming from than anything.
35 years of that man's life. Leave him alone.
He's working, and I'm totally giving him that he's working. But I feel like in terms of star power, I see John Krasinski come up in the media more than I see Kevin McKidd. 100%. And maybe it's because John is too busy, and that's a different problem.
Yeah.
All right. I've made my opinion clear. Natalie Portman until you set me on fire.
And boy, do I want to right now. Let's see here. Natalie as... No, I think I'm still... I'm not voting for Natalie. Allison Brie. Kevo, break it again.
I'm going to stick with Allison Brie, I think. Especially considering the Russos were so influential on the MCU and the Avengers. I wonder if perhaps if it had been someone they know better, if it might have been someone, she might have gotten more spotlight, like the Jessica Chastain thing.
Yep.
Oh, and now Tori is voting to Allison Brie to keep Portman as Jane, which is pretty fair.
Yeah. Yep.
Community versus The Office.
Yes. And weirdly, now I'm going back. I think between these two, for me, I think it's Krasinski. I think if I really want to change the course of the MCU, it's
Cap versus Sharon Carter, so like it's kind of got to be Krasinski.
It's pretty nuts that this is the two. Imagine these two as Cap and Sharon Carter. What kind of
not only That, but two Thursday night comedy block people.
I really also wonder about her Allison Brie as Peggy.
Mm.
Um,
That would be a really great fit.
yeah, another thing that I really don't love is poor Chris Pratt or Chris Evans and Haley Atwell have no chemistry whatsoever.
No, I mean it's the lack of chemistry that led to gay rumors. Seriously.
Yeah, it just that last moment you're like, really? He traveled back in time for? I don't think they. Anyway,
Have they met?
So Kevo, what's your vote?
Yeah, I think I'm going to ride out Allison Brie.
Okay, I really respect that. But Nico, you're Team Krasinski as well. So
Yeah.
for the first half, the big change is John Krasinski as Cap.
Now, the second half kicks off, let's go with weird as shit, because you're being asked to pick between two people, neither of whom I can realistically see playing Star-Lord, neither of whom I can see really leading a Disney franchise. We have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Glenn Howerton versus Joel Edgerton as Star-Lord. This is just, I mean, I already think that in some ways casting a guy from Parks and Rec was a little outside of the realm for the nature of what was going on. We saw them overlook guys like John Krasinski in favor of Chris Evans, an already movie star. This is two people, neither of whom feel like movie stars. But if you're asking me who I would more enjoy seeing, which person I could imagine fucking up, stopping Thanos, yeah, I could see Glenn Howerton, ruining it. He is, in fact, a golden god.
I also don't necessarily want to do this for every entry and not to be too spoilery, but I do want to point out, to reflect off of this one, the two contenders that we have in this game for Gamora, for the perspective of playing off of these actors, being Olivia Wilde and Amanda Seyfried. And I'm picturing either of these actors playing off of either of these actors, and it just creates such a fascinating movie for me, because I also really lean Glenn Howerton, but then I'm like, Glenn Howerton opposite Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah,
no,
Glenn Howerton off of Olivia Wilde would be perfect. Exactly.
Yes, that would have been a very different cool thing.
So I want to throw out there that I had some real concerns. Again, this was an age thing, but Pratt, 44, Glenn Howerton, 47, and Joel Edgerton, 49. Nothing too crazy here.
Okay. So Peter probably would have been like more of a teen when he was taken, maybe, if it had been Joel Edgerton.
If it had been Joel Edgerton, yeah, you would have needed to either age it up, or they would have had to work noticeably harder to age him down as an adult. Like they would have had to really try and make him appear a little younger. Glenn Howerton is funnier, and I think Star-Lord works better conceptually if he is actually funny. I think the problem is Chris Pratt stopped really wanting to be funny as Star-Lord. He really just wanted to be another jacked Chris.
Yeah.
And it sort of hurts the role. He's really, in the first one, he's a little bit scrappier. And even though he got into insane shape, it's very clear that he just came off of being chubby and funny and doesn't want to lose that entirely. By the second movie, he starts to border on joyless, and he's just crazy jacked and trying to go hard, and it's boring. Joel Edgerton sort of gives me that vibe all the time, and I'm looking at his credits trying to find anything where I can even conceive of laughing, and I don't see it. Glenn Howerton, of course, has made me laugh so many times I've nearly cried. I do have some concerns about the guy from the implication scene being Star-Lord, where the implication in space is even more frightening. But I want to believe that we can let actors break out of their most iconic roles. And for that reason, I will be voting with you two for Glenn Howerton.
All right. So, Glenn Howerton, my friend, you are Star-Lord. Congratulations. Now, this next one really, it's so hard because Zoe Saldana isn't visually recognizable as Gamora outside of the makeup, but Zoe Saldana's Gamora is Gamora, and she is a woman of color. And that is a factor when I'm seeing these two very blonde presenting women, both of whom seem maybe a little bit like their best friend is Peroxide. But, you know, if you're asking me which one of these two women could sell an adult Gamora, it's tough because I love Amanda Seyfried. And I wonder if it's that I think of her as Lily Kane or the daughter in Mamma Mia, but when I think of Olivia Wilde, I think of a med student, in part because I fell in love with her on House, in part because there really is something to the name Amanda Seyfried that sounds kind of childish along with her presentation of self, whereas Olivia Wilde, it almost sounds like Oscar Wilde. She's already kind of got like this vibe to her, and it's sort
I'm
of
a bisexual club owner.
Yes, it's something you kind of can't miss. There's a very different way they carry themselves. Amanda Seyfried is a great fit for a trillion roles in the Marvel universe, but Gamora is such a hardened old woman. I just can't see her in the role. So Olivia Wilde.
I think the other thing, I'm also going to vote for Olivia Wilde. I think both of these people, I'm not a House person, so I can't speak to that.
Cutthroat Bitch is one of the greatest characters in the history of fiction.
Yes, you have mentioned this before. I think one of the things that Zoe Saldana gave us is a bad-assedness that felt natural to the character of Gamora, where I think two kind of well-to-do blonde girls really would have done this, would have had to have done something very similar to what Karen Gillan was doing. And Karen Gillan really kind of hammed it up to be Nebula. And it ended up working just for Karen Gillan and for Nebula. But I think if you had had two white women covered in color-changing makeup trying to do their version of Christian Bale playing Batman, where they're very serious. Yeah, I just feel like both Amanda Seyfried and Olivia Wilde would have done a voice for Gamora, and then they're yelling at Karen Gillan, who's also doing a voice, and it just would have gotten absurd.
It would have just been a Venture Brothers sketch.
Exactly that. But of the two of them, I feel like Olivia Wilde might have to reach for it a little less, and that is why she is getting my vote.
Yeah, and I think, like we had said, she probably would play off of Glenn Howerton a little bit better. She'd play off of a more adult Peter Quill a little bit better. I don't think that Amanda Seyfried would do a poor job. And like Nico said, they both got that alien look. That's why I chose these images, because I wanted to emphasize that these women look like aliens. But yeah.
All right, Olivia Wilde, the importance of being on House. I need to be clear. I'm biased in this. This one is unfair because one of them is treated as a saint and one of them people only say really negative things about. So,
but I mean, it's another one that would have broken the MCU. So that's why I was really fascinated when I saw that this was something that they were eyeing.
Oh, I mean, it would have if Chadwick had
exactly.
Taken the role. Exactly. I would never have given it to Chadwick Boseman because he does not have this body type, which is all Drax has. Chadwick Boseman, there are like a dozen roles, not all of them white or not all of them black, that I would have been happy to see him have in the MCU. Like, I think Chadwick Boseman.
Hey, what if?
great what if. I think he could have made a phenomenal Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange in no way needs to be white. I know they never would have cast him. But there are a lot of roles that I think black actors should be up for that are white people in the comics, and I think that should be fine. Drax is literally nothing but looks large. And while you can roid yourself up to being large, it's a different thing. So it's Momoa for me. What do you
But
got?
I wonder though, they built in so many things in the first movie that were backstory for Drax and emotional context. And I wonder if it had been a different actor who, instead of being a wrestler and a body, I wonder if they had someone with more depth, if they would have gone into a deeper area with Drax instead of just keeping him limited to, I don't understand puns. I think he probably still would have been a lot like that with Jason Momoa, but I think he probably would have been a little more bombastic in a lot of ways.
I think I like that. I see that. I like that. My only concern there is that the team at any given point, what?
I'm so embarrassed, and the O was out loud in real life. Jonah wrote into, I'm so ashamed. Jonah wrote Strange. I don't see an image in the center of them. What is the role supposed to be? And I messaged him privately to be like, hey, babe, I see the image. It's Drax.
And
I
he
think
was
you're just
doing
having
the
a
joke
computer
from
problem.
when Drax says you can't see him if he's standing still. Oh, you should be embarrassed. I got that immediately. Jonah, that's very funny. You're on fire. If you could just keep trying to stymie both of them, I'll be fine. So, yeah, I love the idea of a Drax with an interesting backstory with an actor that can deal with that. The problem is, the Guardians, it's such a large team and it's always an ensemble cast and they're mostly men anyway. We have a whole movie dedicated to Quill's backstory on top of the first movie where he really gets the majority of the time. And then in the second one, it's the raccoon, who's also a dude. So the ladies get short shrift in the Guardians movies, although they're hugely important. What?
Just don't forget that in the third one, the female raccoon is played by Hawkeye's wife.
Yes, Linda Cardellini, fucking queen. And I had some thoughts about getting her in the mix too.
Isn't she a third character as well? She's a voice in something. Oh, she's Cosmo.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, no.
She's Cosmo. Then
But Cosmo is a woman, but it's not her.
Thank you. But she has a third role. There's like 3 things Linda Cardellini has done in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You are, I believe you are right about that, and I'm looking it up now. But that they are the daughters of Thanos in some way means that Nebula and Gamora get some significant screen time, but it also means that they get really a kind of limited sort of screen time. And anyway, the long and short of that being, while I like the idea of a good actor playing Drax, I worry about it taking away from other people. And Drax being kind of just a body with a couple quips sort of works. And in that way, I'm giving it to Jason Momoa, and I'm not going to waste Chadwick Boseman on that.
I respect that.
It's tough for me because I have heard so many interviews with female co-stars where they're like, they say a story and then in the interviewer's like, it sounds like Jason Momoa tortured you on set. And they're like, I mean, that's Jason.
Oh no, it's Jordan Catalano all over again. She only has 2 roles in the MCU, Linda Cardellini.
I'm forgetting what I'm thinking of then, but she, it's definitely tough for me to think about Drax as anything but what we have seen on screen with Dave Bautista. And it might be the unpopular vote here, but Chadwick Boseman could have maybe elevated this character to the father who's lost children, who is a a figure of hope, who is an actual threat across the galaxy. Drax does not seem like a destroyer. He seems like a dunce. And I think perhaps either one of these actors could have given me a Drax the Destroyer that was truly frightening and threatening. But maybe Chadwick Boseman could have given it to me in a way that felt less over the top and certainly more frightening.
Yeah.
Oh no, my tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Wait, no, are you?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he just said that he would give Drax to Chadwick, and you said
Okay.
you would give it to Jason.
Okay.
Then I am just... Oh, I didn't want to be the tiebreaker on this one.
I'm certainly not angry if you give it to the guy who looks like he is 246 pounds of actual beef.
Yeah, and I don't care if you don't give it to him. Fuck that guy.
I also want to say that, you know, as unfortunate as Chadwick's passing was, if he had been Drax instead of Black Panther, Drax probably just would have been quietly not in the third movie, and it would not have been a giant to-do the way that it was.
I would have loved Michael B. Jordan as Black Panther.
Yeah.
I thought we were going straight to Jason Momoa for this, so I'm just gonna give my vote to Jason Momoa for that alone.
Okay.
But you know, I wanted to emphasize Chadwick was in the running for a reason, because yeah, I really think he would have been given a very powerful performance.
I don't like Drax, so I don't want to waste Chadwick Boseman on Drax.
I also don't like Drax.
Oh man.
And then this, I was super stoked to get to this one, specifically because more than anything, holy shit, if David Tennant had played Rocket Raccoon, how much more would this have been the year of David Tennant?
Can I make a weird substitute here?
What?
No matter who wins, we win. Because Jim Carrey's Purple Man would have been in that upper echelon of his dark, dramatic roles. When Jim Carrey wants to fucking freak me out, he can. And his Purple Man, so that David Tennant could have been Rocket, would have been great. His Rocket would have been terrific.
I think they still would have cast him as Purple Man, but I get what you're saying.
No matter who played Rocket here, we could have still had a beautiful world, but David Tennant, I find you less attractive than the work Jim Carrey has had done in the last 10 years. The work Jim Carrey's had done keeps him that very young, whose line, fresh-faced groundling look. And David Tennant, you would do a really great job voice acting, and I would like to see Jim Carrey's face a little bit more. So I'm going to give Rocket to David Tennant. Sorry, David.
This is a tough one because this is really like, as you said, like no matter what, I win. Because boy, do I hate Bradley Cooper so much.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? Because if 100 people in a room, but only one's looking at you.
I'm the guy. I'm the one who's looking creepily.
Why didn't Lady Gaga play that otter woman?
I hate every decision James Gunn has ever made now
Truly.
because you said that.
100%.
Because he ranks to Linda Cardellini, and we know it.
I have so many fan castings for Lady Gaga. But I truly hate Bradley Cooper, so no matter what, I'm winning here. The problem is I'm just hearing Hu Yang. And I'm so aware of how talented David Tennant is at voice work and how much I love him for that. And I can't, Kevo, you vote first because I don't want to make you tie break here, and it gives me time to think.
I'm so wishy-washy on Jim Carrey, especially because he can be so friggin' weird at times. So, and you know, David Tennant.
Yeah.
I agree that I think they still could have cast him as Purple Man, even if he had been in
100%.
had been Rocket. I think he probably would have gone a lot more hard Scottish. And I think he would have given a really, really amazing performance in this last movie.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jim Carrey would have performed, and I don't know, like, because as it is, he dispels these rumors that he was ever in the running. I don't know if I believe him that those never happened, or if he's just saying that they weren't real because Jim Carrey just is explosive and says things.
Well, and also
so
he
I
probably
don't know.
doesn't want to talk about it. Like, if you are a great character and voice work actor, probably the last thing you ever want is people asking you
Knowing
about a
what you
role
didn't do. Yeah.
Right, and asking you about it and being like, well, if you did do Rocket, what would he sound like?
Who wants to hear their greatest ever role was the role they didn't get?
Right.
Oh, right. I just remembered. Two guys that we've already said on this list: Mark Ruffalo and Don Cheadle.
There you go. So I still think I'm voting for David Tennant too. I really like Jim Carrey. But yeah, no, I think it's David Tennant. All right. These two fucking guys. First off, the one thing I want to say.
Wait, real quick before we go into the next one, real quick. Then I just want to zoom in on our, so that we can just look real quick. Because first of all, I just learned how to do this, where I can zoom in on my screen.
Love this for you specifically. So yeah, this is where we're at with this block.
We have this is our Guardians of the Galaxy. We have Glenn Howerton, Olivia Wilde, Jason Momoa, and David Tennant.
Yep.
And you know what? I do that Guardian set, whether it had ended up being Chadwick or Jason. I think it would have been a very interesting, very different Guardians franchise for sure.
I agree.
And so who do we have here? Oh, right. And so now, once again, like Ed said, I doubled up on spiders.
Spidermans.
And so on
Wait, is this two photos of the same person?
On Speedy Petey. So this is actually Sex Education's Asa Butterfield, and actually Ms. Marvel's Matt Lintz, who you may recognize as Kamala's little friend that I said should have been gay, but wasn't. That's fine.
Well,
that was a choice.
Because they have a romance.
This one's tough for me. I don't think I care. Because the point of Spider-Man isn't what do you bring to the role, it's who do you grow into in the role. The point of Spider-Man is never the boy in the costume, it's the man the boy will become. So no matter who you put in the role of Spider-Man, it doesn't really matter because it's who he's going to grow into. I genuinely don't know that I could have seen the men that either of these boys would become in the role of Spider-Man. And of course, the same is true of any Spider-Woman or any Spider-Girl. The idea of who Aranya has become, the idea of who Mayday became, the idea of any number of beautiful Spider characters, it's kind of limitless. So my perspective is it's really just kind of a matter of, would we have the exact same Ms. Marvel show? Maybe not. Iman Vellani's comic writing debut is two of the strongest issues I have maybe ever read from a first-time writer. What a commanding voice. And I would not change a word of Ms. Marvel for that reason. So I'm going to give it to Asa Butterfield, if for no other reason. I love his name.
That's really fair.
His name is so cute. Asa Butterfield. It's like a really fun, beautiful name. And I would not mind saying, oh, Asa Butterfield was Spider-Man. Like, that's a really cool thing to say. And I have no other real motivating criterions.
I am sick of British people being given roles that should go to American people. I just feel like, when do Americans ever get considered? What about American exceptionalism?
What about America? When will America be number one?
Realistically, there was an edict that no non-British people could be cast in the Harry Potter movies. That is how insular they are. But how many American
Yeah.
heroes are played by Brits. So that's
Um,
more what bugs me than anything, is you will never see an American playing 007. So
and
that's just why it bugs me.
it's just that, like, every once in a while they're like, no, he is so inextricably linked to Queens that is all we can talk about for our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Okay, then
And then
cast
it's
the Exit or JFK Airport.
yeah, exactly. That it's just some British guy playing him. And I think, and like, if you ever hear a single blooper of Tom Holland accidentally saying something British as Spider-Man, you will never again be able to. All he has a British accent the whole time, and we just let it slide somehow. But like, if the curse is ever broken for you one single second, if you hear one word slip in a blooper, you will realize how much he is constantly slipping throughout the films. And I think he's very cute and very charming. But
it's the same reason Rachel Maddow never lets us think she's pretty. The minute she slips and we recognize she's pretty, we'll never take her seriously as a news anchor again.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of seriously. Yeah. This is
I want to read out loud. I want to read out loud
Yeah.
Tori's comment, though, which is my bigger question is which of these two would be so insane as to drunk dial Feige to beg for another movie, because that's the more important part of Peter Parker, isn't
And
it?
my guess is probably Matt Lintz, just because Tom Holland, I think, stopped drinking a while ago. Asa Butterfield stopped drinking a while ago. Tom Holland also did, but
I would give up alcohol for that fucking windbreaker. That is the fucking cutest jacket in the entire universe.
and if you haven't watched it, Sex Education is a blast as a show.
It is a famous penis double for that one scene for Asa
In season
Butterfield,
4.
Yes.
in case anybody is wondering.
Yes. Gillian Anderson living her Emma Frost fantasy. She's just fantastic.
Oh, real quick, because Tori's here. Do we just want to shut down the show and become a Gillian Anderson podcast real quick?
I would like to.
Tori's
I'm always
here,
ready to do that. I always have material in my back pocket.
I think she just dropped her phone. Trying to respond fast enough. We're going to get just like garbled
the
text.
screen vaguely is warped now. Yeah, I'm giving this one to Matt Lintz. He has that. If you Google photos of him, he's gorgeous. But
oh my god,
you know, you put him in like a moppy, haircut and some frumpy clothes, and he doesn't seem that special anymore. But then you can turn him into Spider-Man. So I don't know. I think that he's got what I'm looking for a Spider person.
I am only going with the crowd and saying Asa Butterfield, because I feel like I haven't seen enough of Matt Lintz yet. And I think that Asa Butterfield could have brought a Andrew Garfield,
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying
self-effacing.
to avoid.
I get that.
British stuff.
I get that. I really do. But I don't know how well Matt Lintz could performed in the role yet.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't know if he can do acrobatics. And honestly, the thing that really, at the end of the day, clinched this for Tom Holland is the fact that he can dance and that he can do flips.
God, I just really hope Tom Holland was at a clinch.
They stopped talking to everyone else when that happened. So I don't know how well any of these others... Like, I don't know how well Asa Butterfield would take to the acrobatics.
Well, he did all the zero grav stuff in Ender's Game, so he's probably fine.
Right. Okay.
With Hawkeye herself, Haley Steinfeld. So putting them back together would have been fun too. Except no, it wouldn't have. So anyway.
Dude, she's had such an incredible career that when she came to the role of Hawkeye, she brought an entire gravitas and fan base with her. And that's something that I think when we're talking about a lot of these castings, we're talking about whether you bring that or not. And that really does define how we interact with these. We keep saying, oh, well, he's Jim from The Office, or, oh, that's the guy from Sex Education. And the nature of having that interaction with some of these actors and actresses is why we don't have the unknowns, the 10, 20, 30 unknowns up for each one of these roles up on this board. Because in so many ways, we can't predict the nature of how Hollywood will adapt and how it will take to different fandoms.
Did you plan that to be the perfect intro to our next entry?
Yes.
Because, oh, excellent. I'm really glad that you did, because...
I have it open. I have the document open. I want to be a
yeah. So these people, this entry is Charlie Plummer versus Charlie Rowe as Spider-Man. And I believe the question that we all want to ask is who? And look, there were a lot of people that were being floated for and had their names thrown in the hat for Spider-Man. Love of my own life, Dylan O'Brien was one of the people. Former Percy Jackson, Logan Lerman is somebody that they were saying that they were talking about or looking at. But there were only so many people. There was like a short list of genuinely 6 actors who were in the final running. And these 2 men were 2 of them. And they are actors.
Well, I want to say that by looking at them, Charlie Rowe has everything I would expect a Peter Parker to have. But what Charlie Plummer has, Kevo, could you possibly, or TK, you control the brackets, could you possibly zoom in on Charlie Plummer?
Well,
I can, but Kevo's going to have a better time with it.
Yeah, let me bring my thing in here and then
Can you zoom in on his eyes for a minute?
Oh, God. Nico, really? This is where we're going with this?
No, hold on. Listen to me for one goddamn second. He has Peter Parker eyes. Peter Parker eyes are always looking at the world like everything might be a little bit better tomorrow. It's not that Peter Parker is saving the world for today, because today already sucks. Because Peter Parker already had to be a superhero. And that's the hardest thing in the fucking world for Peter Parker more than anybody in the world. He wants to be a brilliant scientist. He wants to be a brilliant scientist who's also a shutterbug. He wants to love women far more fabulous than him. And he wants to be a good man. And Peter Parker eyes are always hopeful. While Charlie Rowe is undeniably a gorgeous man in this photo, he has the eyes of a dreamer, of an artist, of a Tony Stark. Peter Parker isn't a dreamer or an artist. Peter Parker is a good man who wants to work a hard job. He happens to be a genius. He happens to be brilliant. But at the end of the day, nothing makes Peter Parker happier than a 9-hour work shift followed by being Spider-Man. And in Charlie Plummer's eyes, I can kind of see that level of I want to surrender to this, and it's the headshot, because no one has those eyes. That's a drawn thing. That's a Mike Diodato knows how to capture sadness. That's John Romita Jr. knows how to look tired. Oh, okay. But in this photo, these 2 pictures, Charlie Plummer has the eyes of a young, hopeful man in a way that Charlie Rowe already looks tired by life.
In Charlie Plummer's eyes, all I see is Chloe Sevigny.
Oh, she'd be a great Spider-Man. So would Kiernan Shipka. I swear to God, the biggest problem in the entire universe is that they just won't cast Kiernan Shipka as Peter Parker and not ask us to ask any questions.
She'd be a great Spider-Gwen, but also, yeah, Peter Parker.
I really just can't see Charlie Plummer. I can't see either of these dudes, but I see Charlie Rowe. It's interesting. Like, even as I say it, I'm like, I'm hedging a little bit, because Charlie Plummer is even that much younger. He's 3 years younger than Charlie Rowe. And I just, out of curiosity, Tom Holland is
British.
No, I'm trying to get a birth date.
Dating Zendaya.
96. Okay, so
he's 96?
Oh my God, he looks great.
I know, he's amazing.
Milton Berle.
Tom Holland and Charlie Rowe are about the same age. Charlie Plummer is 3 years younger, and I think even that little bit of difference could have really changed what you were trying to do for the movie, because the Tom Holland Spider-Man is not the 30-year-old who's playing a teen on a primetime soap opera, but it is definitely not
Maguire.
But it's definitely not like a 16-year-old playing a 16-year-old. Yeah. And I think you might have gotten that with Charlie Plummer, which I think could have been interesting. Maybe you would have gotten a bit of a freshman year, a Spider-Man freshman year vibe, which could have been cool. I always thought that, like, even Tom Holland seemed a little bit adult for the moment they were trying to have where he shows up in Civil War.
So
what?
I only want to say, in
Yeah.
Charlie Rowe's defense, because we're saying a lot of stuff about how old he looks.
No, just
There
how old
are,
he is.
but I mean, at the time, but like there are
Yeah.
pictures and appearances where he looks a little bit more the Peter Parker type.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think my vote is still for him. I guess I'm just like, to Nico's point of like the essence of a person. I think the age still comes through when you're a little bit older, and so like I said, like Tom Holland is clearly younger than everybody else in the airport fight scene, but he still seems like an adult, and I think that scene would have been really interesting if it had been an actual kid, like, somebody who was actually too young to be there.
Because I think the writing was trying to go for that, but because of Tom Holland and the way that he carries himself with such confidence, it didn't really come across the same way.
Yeah. That said, I do think it's still Charlie Rowe for me.
Charlie Plummer. I hope you have a distinguished career as a plumber.
We hardly know ye, we hardly knew ye, and we still hardly know ye. So sorry.
All right. Now, I just want to comment for one moment on this particular slide, because whenever I see Joaquin Phoenix, I always think Gail Bernard Garcia.
Garcia Bernal, Joaquin
thank you.
Phoenix.
Oh, God, I am white. So I'm actually Latin and Greek, so I'm ashamed.
So you can say whatever you want.
No. So this is a really great set, because these two gentlemen are up for Doctor Strange, and either one of them would have radically transformed the role. One of the things that Benedict Cumberbatch offers is a CEO executive confidence, whereas Joaquin Phoenix and Ryan Gosling both offer a boyish charm in their own way. And I wonder if it's because the former has the benefit of having a famous older brother overshadow him until he became an Oscar-winning, strong force in his own regard. But one of the things that Ryan Gosling will always be outrunning is that he is sort of a straight man's definition of fuck me, daddy. And that's kind of hard to beat. One of the things that I think Ryan Gosling is defined by is the fact that so many straight men really do see him as their Kinsey exception for whatever reason. And I think Joaquin Phoenix is an artist. He's an artiste. And, that difference would have transformed Doctor Strange along that same line, where we're talking about something like the artiste is Iron Man, the handsome guy is Captain America. And the decision they went with was an actor who straddles that line. Yeah, he's very handsome, but he's really an artist. I think this decision forces you to reckon the fact that Doctor Strange was never meant to straddle that line so affectionately. And if you're asking me which one of the two is Doctor Strange, it's Joaquin Phoenix. But if you're asking me which one of them I would rather see, it's Ryan Gosling in a pair of boxer briefs.
Just a cape,
Yeah.
I basically agree. I mean, I think that Joker is kind of ridiculous and silly and stupid because Joaquin Phoenix got so method, he stopped making it fun at all. And it just became the Joaquin Phoenix show.
He became such a method man that he began recording tracks with Redman.
There you go. The only thing that's making this next one exciting is the advent of Lady Gaga as Harlequin, who I feel like...
I got confused and I was like, oh, right. No, she's going to be Clea. Wait.
But that would have been an amazing pairing right there. Lady Gaga talks such a huge game about how method she is, and then doesn't really do anything or bother you because, like, that's work, man.
She hasn't said anyone any dead animals, so, like...
It would distract her from her cigarettes and her, as I think Kevo just said, eating danimals.
Yep, that's what he said. You got it. You were listening for sure.
I also forgot she keeps the dead animals for her wardrobe.
Yes, that's more of a Kesha thing, but I hear where you're going with it.
I like your beard.
The meat dress.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I really did use Jack as mouthwash this morning.
Well,
Or-
you were up to camp, so it's understandable.
If you're camping, it's manly.
I think they both would have been bad for this role, but I would prefer to see Ryan Gosling. I also want to throw out there, I think Benedict Cumberbatch is bad for this role. I think he's pretty interminable to watch, and his lack of charisma in this, as opposed to like something like Sherlock, where there's still like a contingent of Tumblr women that I think is enough to constitute an army that could kill us all, that just loves him as Sherlock.
So Tori pointed out
as not Mr. Sinister.
Tori pointed out that she would have liked Strange more with Joaquin's charm, and that movie broke her out of her Cumber phase,
Tori,
and encouraged you to say it louder.
Do you think Joaquin has a charm? Is it something that
I have something? He's still going.
Yeah.
It's an endless amount of BDE.
I actually, weirdly, this is one of the only roles that I like Benedict Cumberbatch in. I don't like him for the first 40 minutes of the movie, and I don't like him when he's still being extra smarmy, but when he's like being mostly a nice dude and just hanging out with Wong, this is the most I've ever liked Benedict Cumberbatch personally.
And he's excellent when directed by the Russo brothers, who always seem to know how to get like the friendliest version of you out. I think one of the reasons that America had a problem being so angry at Star-Lord is the way the Russos humanized him is the same thing we see in Alison Brie, that we pushed her to the top of that first bracket.
But now this begs the question, who would we rather see hanging out with Wong? Joaquin Phoenix or Ryan Gosling?
That's Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
That's Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
First
Thank you. That answers the question, because this is the other thing is I think the huge mistake about the Doctor Strange movies is basically what you said, which is that the Russo brothers make Doctor Strange work in their films because they're ensemble films.
Yes.
And they just need him to be good in and amongst the others. And the problem with a Doctor Strange film is it requires that you focus on Doctor Strange, who sucks. Tori says Ryan Gosling gets Wong in the divorce. I think a mix of a better person like a Ryan Gosling and then making them an ensemble. I think if you had Bats, more Wong, because he's a ghost dog for anybody who doesn't know.
And I think Cumberbatch can even work with an ensemble. I think it's why he worked well in Spider-Man too. So
and even in his own movie, the second one is better because it's spread out a little bit, but it focuses on him too hard. Bring Clea in early and have, really it's the House of Strange, it's the Sanctum Sanctorum, it's all of them solving magical mysteries. And then I think he's a little more tolerable. But I think regardless of that, we're having more fun with Ryan Gosling in an alternate universe where this is happening.
And can I just remind everybody that Benedict Wong is like the hottest man in the Marvel
He's so fucking studly,
and nobody talks
and
about what a big man he is.
Not to continue tangenting too hard, but and it's even including Benedict Wong. But now that I'm thinking about it and hearing you say the phrase "House of Strange," gosh, I really hope that we go in the direction of seeing Doctor Strange and his crew go up against Agatha and all of the witches.
Yeah.
And I really hope that that's going
I think
somewhere.
it probably won't happen because it's a great idea.
Well, and if I can add to this, do you guys know what Marvel ran an article for that it brought a tear to my eye? I have never been happier with Marvel as a company.
What?
1 year of Madison.
Yeah, they've been doing a bunch of Madison stuff.
And I really want to be serious. She should join the Doctor Strange universe.
I couldn't agree more.
Something that Benedict Wong's humor, that Benedict Cumberbatch's humor, I was so wrong. Tori told me to trust the process. Benedict Cumberbatch is not going to ruin Doctor Strange. I didn't think he had humor in him. I thought he had dry humor in him, but no, he actually has some like funny jokes in him. And somebody like Benedict Wong, who is, in my mind, like a BAFTA winning actor, is so capable of so much depth. I didn't know that Benedict Cumberbatch, who I saw as such a flat actor, somebody who was just always mean, very good at mean. But I knew Hugh Laurie as a comedian well before I knew him as House. So thanks to that, I wasn't thrown by that the way perhaps Sherlock shut me out. But Kevo, I see you have a point.
Well, and I'll be bringing this up tomorrow, but it's something that I said to you while we were watching the Loki premiere. I turned to you and I said, in what universe in Marvel Comics could you imagine a world where Loki and Mobius from the Time Variance Authority are best friends? Part of the strength of the MCU is not just adapting, but building and recreating and reshaping and taking things like Coulson, taking things like Darcy from Thor, taking things like Madison, inventing new characters and concepts that work well with these universes, and giving us new ideas and fun new ways to see these characters.
It's
Agreed
also
completely.
something that I was noticing with Loki is like, no matter what we do, he's not going to get that many more storylines and appearances. In the time that it has taken for us to first see Loki and to see Loki in the second season of his show, the comic book version has been 18 different people, had 18 different jobs, and we can't get any of them to stick. And if we like Loki as Agent of Atlas, or Agent of Asgard, as, you know, one of the Young Avengers, as anything, we're never getting that back. He hasn't been with the Young Avengers, who haven't been around in forever. He hasn't been an Agent of Asgard. Like, none of that has happened. This is like, we had Loki villain, which lasted all the way through till he's killed. And then we have some nebulous time. We see him a little bit, and then he is brought back to start this journey as a TVA agent. So it is basically, well, I should say, you know, it's a little bit, you know, the villainy into slightly good guy is like a bit of a bleed. But even in Thor Ragnarok, he's like kind of still a little bit villainous.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Yeah.
no matter what, even if he's a good guy, he's a trickster good guy,
Right.
which automatically makes him in a really difficult to define category, because we like to look at our characters as operating in a binary. You're
He's
either
the
good or
antagonist of
bad.
scenes. Even if he's not the antagonist of a film, he is still, when he shows up with Thor, he's often the antagonist of a scene that he's in with Thor. So he's often in that. So it's basically antagonist and now protagonist of the TVA. What?
Wait, guys, it's literally been 13 minutes. Who the fuck won, Joaquin Phoenix or Ryan Gosling?
Yeah,
We
sorry. It's Ryan
all
Gosling.
unanimously agreed on Ryan Gosling when we
Yeah.
got to Benedict Wong.
All right. No, you're so right. And now let's do this last one so we can, yeah.
So
Okay.
I loved discovering this one for a few reasons. Mostly, I loved having Yahya Abdul-Mateen on this list because so was Jason Momoa, and that's an Aquaman connection. But also, both of these men would go on to be characters in the MCU anyway. Yahya will be Wonder Man eventually, if this ever happens. And Michael James Shaw was Corvus Glaive in the Avengers movies. So,
Wait, was
yeah.
he really?
Yes, he was. That's why I picked him. I was
fuck?
fascinated.
You know, I got to be honest. When I look at Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, the first thing I thought when they announced all of that Wonder Man shit out of nowhere was, this is a character that very few people care about in the comics, and thank you for casting an actor who's going to make so many people care about him in the TV show. This actor looks like he is set to revitalize this character. You know, Wonder Man is interesting, but something that could really take him to the next level is considering some real world applications of what it means to be a minority celebrity. A superhero celebrity is a minority in such a fictitious way. Yeah, a minority who has superpowers, a minority who can psychically turn into ions and defend themselves. Every gay dude wishes he could turn his dick into ions and defend himself, right?
Sure.
So, like, Wonder Man is an amazing character. But, you know, when I think about how wasted Michael James Shaw is as this sort of forgettable character in Corvus Glaive, while I love Corvus Glaive, I wonder if I think about Corvus Glaive because of the role he played in the Avengers 2-part finale, or because I play a lot of Marvel Contest of Champions where my Corvus Glaive is a very high-rated 5-star. So I think that when you're asking me which actor had more to maybe give to M'Baku, I think an actor like Yahya Abdul-Mateen would have been picked out of whatever obscurity he's in, for a role like Wonder Man, no matter what. But it would have been interesting to see Michael James Shaw playing M'Baku against Corvus Glaive in that battle in Avengers Infinity War, where they're both on the battlefield at the same time.
Which one is the telepath in Avengers Infinity War?
That's Corvus
Ebony
Glaive.
Maw.
No,
that's Ebony
Ebony.
Maw.
Thank you. No,
God,
Corvus
they're
Glaive.
both just such creepy little fucking.
Corvus Glaive is the guy who looks just like Ebony Maw, but with pointier ears and a hood, and he just does stabbings.
Yeah.
And then Corvus Glaive is the one with the
Ebony Maw is the one with the
riff-raff
comb
haircut.
over. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it's Cull Obsidian is the big guy, and Proxima Midnight is the lady.
Which is why I thought you were like, I was gonna be like, no, he's Cull Obsidian, because these two men are gigantic. Also, basically the same age, just a couple months apart. Both of them younger than all of us.
Both of these men are
Yes.
younger than us currently.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show.
Yeah, we gotta go.
This is our
This has
show.
been really fun. We love you all.
That's it.
Death is
Goodbye.
upon us.
Goodbye. Death is. When will death come? I have to hit the button. Goodbye. No, not really.
Also, just good lord, absolutely shredded the both of them. You guys didn't watch Watchmen, did you?
No.
Yaya is amazing in that.
Yeah.
Do you know who he plays?
I do.
Manhattan?
I mean, people, if you haven't
Then
seen
let's
it
move
yet,
on.
It's over, so
yeah. If
It's
you
not coming
Google,
back. We're sorry.
Unfortunately, if you Google him at all, the first thing you will see is an image of him as Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, okay. I don't have to Google it then. Thank you.
No. Yeah, so he does play Dr. Manhattan. It's weird how he is Dr. Manhattan. It's worth it enough just to see that and how that comes about. But he's amazing in that role, and that's just such an incredible show. This one is really difficult for me because I don't want anybody else to play M'Baku. The only
That's true.
Winston Duke is a church. Get on your knees.
Let's
I
pretend
love
that this
him.
is the universe where Chadwick is Drax and Winston
Yeah.
is Black Panther. So
I feel like I am giving it to Michael James Shaw
same.
because physically this is based on nothing, because I have nothing, because these two men are both beautiful and phenomenal actors, but physically he comes off as bigger.
Okay.
Again, if you Google them, you will see that they are both in just the kind of shape that puts the rest of us to shame. But Yahya Abdul-Mateen II comes off a little more lithe and wiry and shredded, where Michael James Shaw just seems like a fucking Dorito chip shape. And M'Baku specifically has to look physically larger than Black Panther, because that is, how he's going to play. We know Black
You're
Panther.
saying shredded, but what you mean is yoked to fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're both insane, but just like on a bit of a technicality, Michael James Shaw just seems a little bit bigger. He also seems older. Like, I was sure that he was 10 years older than I was, and that Yahya Abdul-Mateen was going to be like 2 years older than I am. That's insane.
But instead,
to
the
me
sadness.
that they are both, young enough to be my children. But yeah, Michael James Shaw just seems a little bit larger, which is all I've got in terms of criteria. I think they both could have been really cool.
Same, but I'm going to give it to Michael James Shaw because his character is so forgettable that we interchanged him with another character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. M'Baku isn't necessarily the greatest role in the Black Panther franchise. I really loved the stuff that he brought to the second movie. I would have loved more. But at least it is still more than Which one is he? Did I say Corvus Glaive? So
Corbus Maul the Flob.
yeah.
All right. So we are now into our final phase. We're going to start. Okay, wait, no, this is legitimate because
These
this is
two are
would
so
you rather
toxic.
have Glenn Howerton as Star-Lord or Olivia Wilde as Gamora. I got to give it to Olivia Wilde as Gamora. I think I root for her more. Glenn Howerton has a sort of, he could have made it as a toxic, coked out CEO vibe. And, you know, what could Olivia Wilde have done? Been like an acting coach? You know, in terms of like what we project onto these people from a cultural outside kind of perspective, just like looking at them. I think Olivia Wilde is a phenomenal actress. She's a brilliant performer and certainly knows how to handle herself. I was not making a statement about them as people, but I do think Olivia Wilde has perhaps a little bit more to offer to the role than Glenn Howerton does. Glenn Howerton has shown us his range, and it is evidently AP Bio.
I mean, you and I have like exact opposite feelings about Olivia
Good night.
Wilde. Yeah, my vote is for Glenn Howerton. I really don't like Chris Pratt either. So in my dream world, we get him out of there. But I do really like Zoe Saldana. Let's leave her where she is. Yeah.
Tori also votes for Glenn Howerton, and
Yes,
I'm going with the crowd. You know, I'd be interested to see Olivia Wilde's Gamora, but if you're asking me to pick between these two, I would be more interested to see Glenn Howerton.
You know
I
what?
love you.
Okay. If we're talking about interested, okay, then I can definitely hear what you're hearing. The idea of more interested, yeah, I just think that Olivia Wilde would be a little bit more reliable in the role. As far as these two go,
Hundo P. David Tennant. 100%. We all
David
know that.
Tennant.
Yeah.
Good night.
I just still had to write it down for the for posterity of the comments.
For Spiderman,
Oh, it's got to go to Asa Butterfield because I've heard of him.
Is there any way to make Asa Butterfield as cute as Peter Parker is supposed to be?
Now.
I think yes, because he does look cute here. It's, you know, when he does the giant round eyes like a Cupid doll that are just literally impossible giant circles. I think he probably could have been coached, maybe would have done well under RDJ's tutelage. I didn't get to say before, but I also wanted to add, I specifically even chose Charlie Plummer and Charlie Rowe because I loved that it was two men named Charlie, and neither of them still got it.
And neither one was Charlie Puth.
I would have seen Charlie Puth.
Same.
I would not have. Kevo, I almost, when I messaged you and I was like, nope, I got it earlier, it was because when I got the list and the photos, I wasn't paying attention and I thought it was Charlie Hunnam. And I was like, why did you pick one of his really old photos? I was like, he is like a jacked old man and you have this photo of him from Queer as Folk era. And I was so confused. And then I finally realized what was going on. And it's just cycles repeating himself because Charlie Plummer is just Charlie Hunnam.
Well, and Charlie Hunnam has definitely had a few cycles repeat.
Yes.
And now I want late 30s, early 40s Charlie Hunnam to be playing Peter Parker. Hey, I'm 15.
Yep, 100%.
He couldn't play 15 on Queer as Folk. He was already too tall to be playing on Queer as Folk. So yeah.
Getting banged by Littlefinger. How fucking weird. Anyway, I'm voting for Charlie because I think he's cuter.
I'm giving it to Asa Butterfield.
All right, I love that.
I think Charlie is also cuter, but I'm also giving it to Asa Butterfield.
Listen, we all got our own criteria.
This is Ryan Gosling. I keep saying to myself, Noah, and then no, that's not his goddamn name.
What's that his name from?
The Notebook.
Oh, the Noah book. I get it.
I've never seen the Notebook. Gosling. Well, no, I have, because I'm a homosexual.
I am too. I just didn't want to watch the Notebook.
So
you're a pansexual.
I'm a pansexual. And
I'm a homosexual, and I didn't see the Notebook. So
listen,
I guess...
there are guys that are like, "Do you want to watch the Notebook and then like see what happens?"
Yeah, I'm not one of those guys.
You're pan, so you're even more likely to see the Notebook because that's a panty drop
ladies
for
like
men
that
and
movie
women
too.
Hey, ladies, if you want a
I
good night, just call me.
We'll
call
watch
me.
The
I'll watch the
Notebook.
Notebook with you.
I'll watch The Notebook.
I am gonna give it to Michael James Shaw because I don't like Ryan Gosling either. I just voted for him over Joaquin Phoenix, who I really don't like.
I'm going to give it to Ryan Gosling because I wonder the value of changing the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a main character, maybe a little bit more than changing the Marvel Cinematic Universe with a just south of main character. M'Baku is as close to a co-starring role as the Black Panther, at least the first movie, has. And so I really feel that, M'Baku has a lot to offer, but Doctor Strange is a title role.
Yeah, I really agree, and am just so fascinated by what could have been with Ryan Gosling in the role of Doctor Strange. I do like Benedict Cumberbatch overall. I really appreciate the way that we talked it out in this episode, that you guys highlighted what it is that I do like about Doctor Strange and where the problem is with him not being in an ensemble and who's taking care of the character and all of that. So that was really great. But yeah, I think that Ryan Gosling probably could have brought a lot of the same charm and charisma and cockiness without potentially being as smarmy.
So you're for Ryan Gosling, yeah?
Yeah.
And he was
Alright.
in the Mickey Mouse Club, so
And he was in the Mickey Mouse Club. And
Maybe
he
he's gonna
knows how to
keep
do
him.
this with magic. So
This has got to be David Tennant for me.
Oh, yeah, not even a question. This is, the 10th Doctor or,
The
Dennis.
implication.
This is a rough choice, and it just doesn't help that David Tennant is sort of like a herald of his fandom, where Glenn Howerton's fandom is alcoholism. So it's got to go to David Tennant.
Kevo, are you on board with that?
Yes, yeah. I'm really intrigued by Glenn Howerton as Star-Lord, but I don't think it was a question.
I'm voting for Asa Butterfield here. I really don't like Ryan Gosling.
I'm going to give it to Ryan Gosling because I don't
Jesus
really like
Christ,
Benedict
what a
Cumberbatch.
cracker.
I really want to hear if there is anyone else in the audience
Tori,
still
make
going
the
strong
decision
with
for
us to
us.
sound out, because I am not stumped, but I'm pondering for a moment because I'm not entirely sure which one
And-
I would genuinely rather see.
Listen, if after that moment he doesn't have a decision, I'm going to go Asa Butterfield because I don't care that much.
This is up to Tori or Tasty Cake or
Jonah,
if you're still here.
I never finished Sex Education still, not just because
It's
the new
really
season just
good.
dropped. I didn't even watch series 3 yet. So
It's really fun.
Yeah, but before I could even get to watching series 3, it had all started falling apart, and we heard about all the people that weren't coming back for the last season, and we didn't know if it was the last season, but we knew Shooty was going to leave, so it probably had to be the last season.
Oh, wow. Shooty Gatwa, and we're talking about David Tennant. What a good, cool Doctor connection.
That's so funny. We're going to be talking about Doctor Who a lot next
Here's
month,
the question.
probably.
Who would you have cast Shooty Gatwa as in the MCU?
Oh, that's going to take me a minute.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll save it.
Dr. Voodoo,
Hey.
because he has the capacity to make Dr. Voodoo a big deal.
He'd be a great Johnny Storm.
Ace is better for Peter over Ryan for Strange.
So says Tori Sheen.
So says Tori. There we go.
So
Done.
I'll go with it. I'll go with Tori.
This is still going to be Tennant for me.
Oh, it's two British people doing funny accents about
Yes.
We don't know what Tennant would have done for Rocket.
Like we just said, Asa Butterfield, Shooty Gatwa, and then David Tennant. David Tennant's turning into Shooty Gatwa. Lots of crazy stuff there. And I mean, I feel like the obvious answer is David Tennant. David Tennant,
Yeah.
I think,
Same.
might take the cake. But we shall see. Are we at the final one?
Yes.
All right. John Krasinski's Captain America versus David Tennant's Rocket Raccoon. I've got to be honest. I could give negative 13 whopping funts about Rocket fucking Raccoon. And if I had never heard that a star was born the day that alias Rocket Raccoon found himself drunken enough to hang over into the Guardians of the Galaxy, I wouldn't have cared. But you know what? The Office kind of captured my attention pretty early on. I really liked the idea of so many of us were trapped in situations that were so close to Dunder Mifflin. How many of us have jimmed the camera well before there was a verb for the noun that expressed jimming the camera? Honestly, as much as I think that David Tennant is a superstar among superstars, I don't care about his Rocket Raccoon at the fuck all compared to what John Krasinski's defining Captain America, regardless of John Krasinski's performance, would have been for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, changing its ultimate trajectory and, you know, its general perspective. Captain America was the face of 7-Eleven Slurpee cups, of action figures, and of every Scholastic covered Captain America book that you could buy from a book fair. And yeah, I think John Krasinski offers a whole lot more to the what if than David Tennant's what I'm sure would have been an unforgettably perfect, but probably not beating Bradley Cooper's in terms of cultural significance, Rocket.
That was impassioned, Nico. I'm impressed.
Keith, do you have anything or no?
Did I break the show?
You kind of broke me a little bit. I don't know. I really... Oh, gosh. These are the
We
two...
have to look up so high at your soapbox sometimes that it's exhausting.
Truly.
And we just need like a full minute.
Yeah, just gotta absorb it all. These are like two of the ones that I hate the most. Their casting, Captain America and Rocket. I really hate. Yeah, I love Chris Evans, like I said, but I don't think he is right for the role. I truly despise Bradley Cooper, and I think he is wrong for the role. So this is really tough. Do you have something?
I even really appreciate and respect everything about Nico's speech, and I definitely completely agree in terms of the importance and visibility of both characters and how Captain America is such a more significant role that requires so much more responsibility.
Yeah.
But, you know, we do keep talking about our feelings on Bradley Cooper, star of Kitchen Confidential, and I really wonder what our feelings, you said, yeah, I don't give a shit about Rocket Raccoon.
I just want to say,
But
Kevo, that joke was a win out of the Silver Linings Playbook.
Thank you. You keep being like, I don't give a fuck about Rocket Raccoon, but what if it had been an actor?
Yeah.
You might have liked more right from the start. How many characters have you not cared about where then when they put a good actor in the role, you're like, oh, okay.
What I'll throw out there for you, Nico, is think about how much you love Bucky, your dog.
My dog?
Your best friend.
My best friend, my dog. The dog, my whole reason for being, my dog.
And
my
think
dog.
about all of the themes of animal cruelty and suffering that appear in Guardians 3, but are just kind of ruined by the fact that it's fucking Bradley Cooper sucking at being a person.
Well, hold on.
What?
Parallel, do you know how many straight white men see themselves in Bradley Cooper and maybe for the first time, even if not dog lovers, cared about those things that I do not
think there was any crossover there. I think those people cannot see themselves in the voice of Bradley Cooper doing a voice as Rocket.
Can I be honest with you? I just really want to see John Krasinski at 245.
Yeah, I think he's there now. I really look at pictures of him as Jack Ryan. I'm serious.
I have. No, I want to see him hold the helicopter up.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's in and of itself, that might be enough to convince me.
And, I also really can't underline enough the significance of John Krasinski in our pop culture where seeing Jim as Captain
that would have been a
America.
bigger deal than seeing the guy from a Not Another Teen movie as Captain America.
The big deal of Chris Evans being cast as Captain America was the fact that he had played Johnny Storm in a trilogy at Yale.
Yeah. So are we doing this?
I think so.
All right.
What if Reed Richards had been Captain America? That's the real question. All said and done, I feel great about this bracketeering. I think one of the things that the AU of the MCU offers us is an opportunity not just to think about how it would have changed films, but kind of like, we said, how it would have changed pop culture at large. John Krasinski hasn't just carved a path for himself as Jack Ryan and Jim from The Office, but he even managed, like we said, to become part of the pop culture phenomenon that is fandom changing the MCU to include certain actors. John Krasinski sold the Good News blog or whatever early on in COVID. The man is a businessman. I think perhaps being Captain America would have actually been a stopgap in his career in a way that a guy like Chris Evans didn't really want to move into the personal sphere as a hero. He really is happy being an iteration of Captain America in real life, but John Krasinski has John Krasinski-sized dreams that he is going to make happen no matter what. I do think that having Chris Evans as our Captain America was the best thing to happen for us. But, John Krasinski could have offered a really cool twist on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What do you guys think about our winner?
Like I said, I think it would have been really cool to see him not just as Captain America, but as a really not Aryan Captain America. And I sort of think I like the alternate history you're imagining where it wasn't as big a thing for him as it was for Chris Evans, but I sort of think that around the time he got cast and around the time we figured out that the MCU was going to be sort of huge, it would have just derailed his other plans. It wouldn't have been that he is like, well, I don't need to do it, but this other guy would have. I think he would have been like, well, I guess I'm stuck with this for a while.
BRB, fuck Marvel, I'm on The Office.
Too. Yeah, exactly.
Kevo, how are you feeling?
I really love this topic. It is so fascinating to think about the different branches that pop culture could go and how that would affect us. Some of the creative fictional projects that we've been talking about, I know, have involved a lot of alternate reality concepts and this idea that if you just pull at little threads of human history, the things that either can or cannot be changed by that potentially. At the end of the day, The Office still ended shortly after Captain America came out anyway. The Office ended in 2013, so only a year after the Avengers movie.
Wow.
So it really wouldn't have derailed too much of The Office by the end, because it was already on its last legs by that point, too.
Unfortunately, the Catherine Tate years, another Doctor Who connection.
Another Doctor Who convention. Speaking of Doctor Who, Timescales from San Francisco says hello.
Hey, Timescales.
Yeah. Just so many of these choices. And I think the biggest disappointment for me, and I've always said this from Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, was that we had really hoped, we'd really gotten ourselves so psyched up that there was going to be this like giant battle of the variants. And I think it was just one of those things where we were fresh off of Endgame and we wanted everything to be the Portal scene still. And I still have hope that we could see something that cool someday. There's so many actors who love just jumping in to play in this a little while. You mentioned us potentially seeing a certain Electric Nacho in Deadpool 3. We've heard so many things about cameos in Deadpool 3. And there's so many fun things you could do in this day and age with media and doing these things. Like we said earlier, back in the day when they cast Chris Evans, even though he'd been in Fantastic Four, it was a middle finger to Fantastic Four and saying, we don't care about those movies. Now, when you do stuff like that, it's leaning into the fun of it. It's potentially, hopefully, ending up in a situation where Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland can share a screen together after Charlie Cox made his triumphant return to Marvel earlier in the movie, and no one reacted in our theater. It's fine. No one reacted in his theater either, so it's fine.
Now, I want to ask you guys a kind of random question, but if you could have any random AU casting, someone who has never been put up for a role, I'm going to put a really stupid casting out there that I think might be the best casting ever. I would like to see BB Newirth play both Charles Xavier and Cassandra Nova. I think BB Newworth, the greatest legs to ever grace all that jazz, as both
Really?
Charles Xavier and Cassandra.
A man notoriously known for his legs, Nika.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Okay. I think BB Newworth as Charles Xavier and Cassandra Nova, two bald
No,
women.
BB as Cassandra and Kelsey Grammer as Professor X.
Oh, we happy.
How
few.
dare you, Cassandra?
I'm in this chair, but I am not seated at this table. I'm very excited about the Frasier reboot because I'm a simp. And
You
Kelsey
wound
Grammer
me.
is one of the best actors in the entire world. But no, I do think BB Newworth as Charles Xavier and Cassandra Nova would be genius. I don't care. Guys, what do you think? What's your off the wall casting?
I wish I'd been better prepared for this question.
So-
I love Tori pointing out after I just said the thing about Kelsey that Kelsey's already beast, as
Yep.
if we haven't firmly established that no one cares.
No longer. Going off Charles Xavier thing, my dream is Michelle Yeoh as Charles Xavier. And I would have her be Charlie X and not have it be Xavier, but have it be a Chinese last name that ends in X.
Yeah, like Shang or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I guess I'm just going to continue this thread of casting Charles Xavier's.
Let's do it.
And I am going to go with Nico's favorite as Gus Fring and my favorite as Sidney Glass, and say Giancarlo Esposito would
Love
be
it.
a really, really good Professor X on so many levels. I think, unfortunately, and it's so bizarre because now that I finally watched Star Trek, I understand that Patrick Stewart on Star Trek was not cuddly in any way, shape, or form. So how
Not
he
one
managed
bit.
to turn Professor X into someone so beloved when he actually is like the darker side of Picard. He's not evil, but the darker side of Picard. And so I think that really has warped a huge perception of Charles Xavier for our generation. But I think Giancarlo Esposito could probably lean farther into the darker side of Picard.
And,
I love it.
I just want to copy on what we're saying that we happy few, which when Kelsey Grammer gave the St. Crispin's Day speech as Beast in X3, that was a Brett Ratner moment. But the three of us recasting Xavier and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness didn't.
Yep. I mean, that's because that was the one of the, if not the last hurrahs of Charles Xavier, who Patrick Stewart Charles Xavier, who, for logistical reasons will not be taking on the 20 to 60 year task of being Charles Xavier in these films.
No?
I think James McAvoy is probably too old for the role at this point. But I loved that moment. I loved seeing him one more time. I loved him in the chair. I loved him in, that Shi'ar technology chair.
And I just want to say that one of the things that I know a lot of people were like is, Xavier could have handled Wanda.
Nope.
Maybe not. But the truth is that was not the Xavier we recognized from the X-Men films. That was an iteration of Xavier. Yeah. And, there's a lot more to be said about the multiverse. And that's really what we're talking about. We're really talking about the multiverse. We're talking about the nature of the many possibilities of these characters and the many iterations of them. Some of these actors have played multiple versions of the same characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point. And that's freaking awesome. And it's just really been an exciting opportunity to talk with two people I respect so much, as well as an unbelievable number of audience members. Like
thanks everybody for hanging out.
Tori, Jonah, like the
Tasty
unbelievable Tasty Cake. We have had so many incredible contributors this episode, and we are so grateful. We hope you guys appreciated our winner in John Krasinski.
Just imagine a world, people.
I, of course, came dressed today as John Constantine because it's Halloween, and my default Halloween costume is always John Constantine.
I
But
came dressed as a Trader Joe's employee.
I wanted to take a quick moment to highlight and shout out and give some attention to Timescales, by the way, who, of course, heard the mention of Doctor Who and wanted to celebrate the fact that on their own channel, they interviewed the novelizer of the upcoming Doctor Who special, Star Beast, which is really awesome. Congratulations. And we are super stoked for so many things of the upcoming Doctor Who anniversary season, the new series with Russell T Davis. We are so excited, and I'm really excited for the upcoming Dr. Donathon that they are doing early in November. I plan on talking these dudes into potentially covering whatever episodes it is that are going to be on this list.
already
And so we'll talk about that a little bit. We're getting excited for Doctor Who coming up in November. But first, we have so many awesome things that we have planned still yet for the month of October. We have an amazing broadcast coming this Friday, Friday the 13th, where we have a spectacular concept that we are very interested in. Nico, I know that you love horror, you love spook season, so I'm sure you have a lot of stuff that you want to be able to cover in the next few weeks as well.
Well, one of the things that's crazy is I love being scared, and I went with my boyfriend and two of his favorite lesbians to Six Flags Fright Fest, which I am a big fan of horror houses. That's just my shit. I love being scared. And the toughest lesbian I've ever met, when we came out of the third horror house that we went through together, turned to me and said, "You like to narrate your fears and then go, but that's not scary to me." And that is one of the most interesting things I have ever seen in my life. Why do you just keep addressing your fears? That's what I love about horror. That's what I love about sci-fi. It's what I love about magic. It's what I love about the MCU. Address your fears. Have an opportunity to interact with them. I think that one of the things we forget sometimes is that Halloween is a great opportunity to interact with the scarier side of our fears. But there's also a lot of amazing Halloween stories that we're going to talk about in this next month that aren't so scary. So if you're a little bit spooked out by the spookification, please don't worry. We've got a couple of spoopy things coming your way too. And it's always an amazing opportunity to think about the things that dictate our fictional schedule. We associate October with fear. We associate November with transition and family, and then we associate December with like the holidays. So, of course, in October we're going to be covering scary things. November we'll only talk about trans folk, and in December we'll only talk about the holidays.
You know what? Regeneration, transitioning, I'll allow it.
Well, no, and one of the things that I think is really important is we sort of forget that November does act as a transition between fall and Christmas. The two holidays that are most associated with each other are fear and Christmas, giving, joy. One of the things that really does become the burden of Thanksgiving is to take us from a cold is coming to cold is here and celebrate it. And something that this show is going to do is going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We're definitely going to have Thanksgiving programming. I think that, the holidays in December are sort of predominated by the idea of specific religions. And while certainly Thanksgiving as a time of remembrance in November is predominated by certain national pastimes, I think so many people have sought to create a Friendsgiving sense of things. And so much of that is actually due to the thanks of, Friends having Thanksgiving episodes and creating a cultural pastime around the identity of that. And that's something we're going to celebrate on this show. So I am so excited to bring you guys so much content in the next couple of months. We're not just going to focus on Loki because it debuted, but October, November, December, that's 3 of our favorite months of the year. And we're going to definitely bring you guys, that's 3 of my 12 favorite months of the year. So we're definitely going to bring you guys tons of programming that fit those calendars. But until we come back to fit those calendars, Kevo, where can everybody find you? Should you be Calendar Man, my favorite Batman villain?
Oh, I do love calendars, but I don't know that I love Calendar Man. The first time you described him to me, I genuinely did not believe that it was real.
You literally thought I was making fun of Batman villains, and you could not believe that there was a Batman villain who's just like, are you lucky? Is it St. Patrick's Day? And you were like, that can't possibly be a Batman villain, can it?
I was like, stop it, you're being mean. But if you want to find me being mean about weird Batman villains, you can find me on the socials at Kevo Really. That's KevoReally. Teak, where can we find you being, I guess, mean about Batman villains? I didn't have a second joke.
I'll be Mr. Monday from the Venture Brothers who wants to be president of calendars. And you can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, what's your calendar shtick?
You can find me, Nico Grundy, born on a Monday. Solomon Grundy is my second favorite Batman villain. I have really low standards for a Batman villain. No, you guys can find me, Nico Action at NICOACTION on all your social. And as always, you can find X's for Show on all of its social media at X's for Show. But I also want to say, if you happen to be watching this video, you can definitely click on timescales and follow that over there on timescales. You can also check out people like Tori Sheehan, who is a brilliant comic book artist at her work. Google Capes and Boots. That's an amazing comic book series. You will not be disappointed. She writes it. She draws it alongside an incredible artist, a guy named Taryn Inglima, who also contributed to our show today. Definitely check out his work. And I'm not trying to suggest dox these people. I'm suggesting look at their comic book work. Anyway, we're going to get off the air. Three things. Number one, you have to stay safe. Ironic. Number two, you have to do me a favor and you have to be brave. That is the most important thing you can do. Always try and be a better version of yourself the next day. But number three, you got to evolve daily. And that is a huge part of being a person. So stay safe, be brave, and evolve daily. And we will see you guys on the other side.